Oh, go right here. Go ahead. Wait, where'd it go? There it is, right there. That's it. Oh.
I can still
So go
comment.
down. You can still comment.
I can,
No, it says right there.
but I
You
can
can
come.
live chat. You can still live chat.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you?
Let's wait for
There's something. I know there's something.
Oh, we used 10 minutes. I hovered as long as I could. So white color, and he's just crossing and watching. He's only coming back. So
I know it sounds stupid, but.
well, we got four. So, it's showing the park mobile. Something I remember. Yeah. Did not count.
Yeah, we just waiting on one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we got majority of. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I love that parking spot. It's always open. Yes, I'm always scared of homeless people. Just not right now. And I was like, great. And I was like, where do I park now?
And I drove around. And.
Hold on a second. Yes, can I get someone to go to one of the doors and let the prosecutor in? I think she's on the left side,
Hearings? Yes, okay, we're coming in, we're switched to 1B. I'm Celeste, I'm 88.
That's all right. They're coming to let you in, Celeste.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
Celeste, they're opening the door for you now. They're opening the door for you.
No, I refuse. Okay. Second. Okay, I have a copy of your warrant if you wanted to have a copy of it too. This is just Rose, so it's a burden and first degree. So that's nice. Have you ever done, actually, I wrote on this one. Have you ever done? I hope so. So we're just trying to establish probable cause that this defendant committed this crime in this venue. The report was pretty detailed. Is it locked? We're gonna have a battle.
Not loud,
I'm like a monkey at a zoo shaking the door. I can text you.
Did you
turn the thing? Of course I did. The first time I did, so.
It's not.
I don't trust anyone in here anymore. I'm like, now my trust is at all time low now. And frankly, I feel like you guys left me out there on purpose.
No way, no way, no way. Of course not.
That weren't added. Yeah. Okay. So. Maybe I never have to do this work, but I'll make that record and then it's me.
Yes.
Thank you. Good to know. Did you get the text, Mr. Bell?
No.
I told Nelson that this is,
I don't know Nelson's number.
this ends now. I need both of your numbers. Remember last week? I texted you.
Hey.
Where did that
One. And
Oh.
I'll let my.
Oh, shut up. Yes. I can think Oh, I'm coming.
Oh, no.
All right. Except Mr. Chair.
I think you have scored on the wall.
No. Except Mr. Chair.
I needed it.
I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want to have this church there.
The dislike.
I'm gonna stand up for.
I'm a cheap date. I'm really.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this one, I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
It's very weird. Yeah. Oh, what's that? All right.
Let's see what we got. All right, sorry. All right, let's see, here we go. We got 3 officers here. You guys, thanks for being so patient. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, okay. Oh, huh? No. Can you hear me, Madam Court Reporter? We got 3 officers here. You A minute. guys, thanks for being so patient. Madam Court Reporter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. All right, so which officers do we have for which?
One of the officers here is Ms. Fisher. She's here for position 2.
Okay,
We also have Officer Lee here for position 3.
okay,
And we also, have Officer Coleman here for position 6. I currently have investigator Paul's reaching out to the other ones to see what's going on.
All right. And nobody worked overnight.
Oh, I didn't ask Officer
Right.
Coleman. Did you work overnight, Officer Coleman?
You had to think. You don't know if you worked. Well, if you have to think about it, then
That's not good. We might should do his first. if
You
he's-
either work too much or you didn't work. Okay, so anybody off today? Anybody want to go first? Whatever. Y'all want to rock, paper, scissors? All right, come on. And that's Eva Lynn Sanford. Yeah. All right, let's see. If you will, officer, if you raise your right hand, you swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. State your name, spell it for the court reporter, please.
My name is Melissa Fisher. My first name is Milissa. Last name Fisher, Fisher.
All right, we'll wait on them to bring.
Officer Fisher, what's your title? I want to make sure I get that correct.
I'm a corporal with the Fulton County Police Department.
Okay, Corporal. So Corporal Fisher.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, this is position 23 CP 217509. 72 days without indictment. We got, okay, there's Ms. Pinto. We got BGCSA possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, false statements, possession, use of drug-related objects, possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance, and possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute. Go ahead.
Corporal Fisher did mention to me that there were 2 other warrants that were supposed to be attached here. So I was just wanting to put that on record. I hadn't had a chance to kind of see what may have happened to them. But I did want the court to take note of that.
I don't think Ms. Pinto has the same expression I do.
Corporal Fisher mentioned to me that there were 2 other warrants attached, but I didn't take a look to see if something had happened, if they were lowered. I didn't take a look, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware.
Let me see.
In addition to what's on the calendar?
I believe so. Is that correct, Corporal Fisher?
From what I'm looking at, what you handed me today, there were 2 felonies, 1 misdemeanor. There's 2 additional felony drug charges that need to be added to that.
Okay, I'm gonna, if I might
Need to
approach.
be added or you took warrants out already?
No, there were warrants already. It was packaged.
Do you mind if I approach?
No, go ahead. Okay. Ms. Pinto, do you wanna, you have yours pulled up?
Show you a picture of the calendar
Sure.
and let me know if there needs to be any more charges in addition to that.
No, they're just not here. So they are there. Correct.
All right. they are-
Yeah, I apologize.
Okay.
The packet I gave her, they didn't have, it there, so that's my apologies.
Thank you for correcting that.
Okay.
Can we confirm for the record what the packet is that she had?
It's the jail commitment packet from it's from Odyssey. I printed it, but you're welcome to say what it is.
It's just the booking report. And it has a copy of 3 warrants with it. Absolutely. To the camera? Absolutely.
Okay, so we're good, right?
Yep.
Right, we're good. Okay, all right.
All right, Corporal Fisher, where are you currently employed?
With the Fulton County Police Department,
And how long have you been employed there?
just over 2 years.
Were you employed there on or about April 6, 2023?
Yes, I was.
And are you post-certified?
Yes, I am.
Were you post-certified on or about April 6, 2023?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
I was.
And how did you become aware of the defendant in this case, Ms. Sanford?
I became aware of the defendant on January 24th when Officer Allen had conducted an investigative stop with her. I was called in to do a female-to-female search on her.
Okay. And is that typical to call a female officer in for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were
No,
trying to
sorry,
get,
sorry.
yeah, I thought you were trying to get my attention.
No, I was trying.
Okay, so that's typical of you to be called in for a search of a female detainee.
Absolutely, if possible.
Did Officer Allen let you know what was going on?
Officer Allen had stated that he was patrolling the area of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Fairburn Road in search of stolen vehicles when he came across a vehicle that Miss Sanford had stated was hers. It was a 2007 silver Chevrolet Impala, but it had a Georgia tag registered to a 1998 gray Buick Regal.
Okay, and so that was the the stop was because the tag was matched to the wrong vehicle.
Correct.
Okay. And where did this stop occur? Do you have like an exact address or a cross street?
Yes, it took place at 3601 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
Okay. And is that in Fulton County?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So when you arrived on scene, what was the defendant's demeanor?
The defendant was sitting in the rear of the vehicle and she seemed calm at that time. She had stated that she had diabetes. So we made sure we brought in EMS to go ahead and check her sugars, which they ended up being fine. And she seemed calm at that point.
Okay. And did you perform a search of her?
Yes, I did.
And did you locate anything?
Not on her person.
Okay. No firearms, no contraband.
Correct. Nothing.
Okay. And after your search of her, then what happened?
From there, she stated that she wanted to speak to me. I'm in the Special Operations Division, and she had advised that she had some intel she wanted to share with me.
Okay. So you yourself were on the Special Operations Division.
That is correct.
Okay. And she indicated to you that she wanted to speak to you.
Correct.
What did she say to you?
She stated that she wasn't going to state anything while we were on scene, but she wanted to speak of the events that had happened today and the drugs that were located in her vehicle.
Okay. And did you speak with her at a later time? Because you said she didn't want to speak on scene. Did you speak to her at a later time?
I did.
Okay. And what did you learn from that?
From that, after she was Mirandized and spoke with me, she originally advised on scene to Officer Allen that the drugs were hers.
Okay.
However,
Well, let's back up then.
not a problem.
Okay. So what drugs?
So inside of her vehicle, which she advised to Officer Allen, there was going to be marijuana in the vehicle. He located approximately 4.74 ounces of suspected marijuana and 6.4 grams of suspected mushrooms, which he had asked who they belonged to, and she advised it was hers.
Okay. And did you see those drugs?
I later on saw them at the precinct.
Okay. Was Officer Allen's body cam working at that time?
I'm not aware. I did not ask him.
Okay. Do you know if his dash cam was working at that time?
We did not have dash cams at the time.
Okay. But if his body cam were working, is it typical for that to be uploaded into evidence?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did Officer Allen tell you how he knew that those were the drugs that they were?
Based off our training, knowledge, and experience. And also he had sensed a odor of burnt and fresh marijuana coming from the vehicle.
Okay. Have you had any narcotics experience?
Absolutely.
Forgive me for not knowing. How do you tell the difference between like a regular mushroom, like a portobello or a whitecap, and a mushroom that is a narcotic?
We are trained through pictures and on-field training to know the difference of what they look like. A mushroom that you consume at the grocery store does look different. So I'm not an expert to be able to sit here and tell you the difference. I don't feel comfortable training on that. However, as an officer who has come into contact with this multiple times, I was able to say, yes, it was mushrooms under a felony charge.
Okay. And how many narcotic incidences have you dealt with? Approximate. I know you don't have an exact number.
I would not even be able to give you a number. However, I've been dealing with them for 2 years.
Over 10?
Over 10.
Over 20?
Correct.
Over 50?
That I would not be able to give you a number on that.
But you've interacted with them multiple times.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So did Officer Allen tell you why he had searched her vehicle? Oh, actually, scratch that. You just told me.
Yes.
He smelled an odor of marijuana. Okay. Where were the, I think you said 134 grams of marijuana and the mushrooms, where were they found?
I only have the information from Officer Allen that they were found in the vehicle. I don't have the direct location. However, his report does advise it.
Did you read his report?
I do have his report here with me.
Okay, you can look down at it to refresh your memory, but then you need to testify without reading from it, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It states that he said, once I searched the vehicle, I found a
Can't read from it.
okay.
so-
He had found a scale, the marijuana, the mushrooms, and a CBD gummy all packaged in a clear plastic baggie in the rear of the vehicle.
Okay. Did he state specifically in that report? And again, you can look down where in the vehicle, in the rear, like in the trunk, in the back seat. Where are we talking?
I know that he had personally advised me that it was behind the driver and passenger seat. I just don't know where exactly located.
Okay. And did Officer Allen ever indicate to you that anybody else was in the vehicle?
I don't remember if he advised if anybody else was in the vehicle. However, I do know after speaking with the defendant, Ms. Sanford, later on, she advised that of a person.
Okay. And do you have the name of that person?
Yes, she had later on spoke after I had Mirandized her. She had advised that her son's father, who goes by the name of Oscar Vernon, was in the vehicle. And she advised at that time that it was his drugs.
When you arrived on scene, did you see anybody else other than the defendant?
It was a gas station, so there are a lot of people moving around. However, I did not see an individual fitting the description that she gave of this Oscar Vernon.
And Officer Allen, did he ever indicate to you that when he performed this traffic stop that anyone was in the vehicle other than Ms. Sanford?
No.
Okay. Was Ms. Sanford the driver of the vehicle?
I do not have that information. I came in later.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the narcotics are located in her car. Was she detained after finding the narcotics in her car?
She was detained prior to that, is what the report says. She was detained. She was found as a missing person, detained because of the smell of marijuana in the vehicle while the vehicle was searched. And she advised that there was marijuana in the vehicle.
Okay. And did you have body camera on?
Yes, I did.
Was it uploaded and submitted for evidence?
It is. However, my camera is not going to start until I arrive on scene when she's already detained.
Understood. Understood. Did you, when you arrived on scene and you performed a search of her, did you ever take a look at the car? Did you ever do a search of the car?
I did not do a search of the car. However, I did see the car.
Okay. Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit.
Okay.
You said that she told you at some point that I think you said her son's father
Correct.
was in the car.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So she advised me that her son's father was in the car and that it was his drugs. She described him as a white male, blonde hair, blue eyes. She also advised that she had picked him up earlier in the day from a gas station and that she was going to drive him around. And that when they were at the gas station, he saw the police and left the scene prior to the police arriving.
Okay, but you stated previously that she had previously told Officer Allen that the drugs were hers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But now she's saying the drugs are her son's father.
Correct.
And what date did you speak to her again? Was that a couple days later?
No, this is actually all taking place on January 24th. She was taken from scene, transported to our precinct where she could speak to me after being Mirandized.
Okay. And was that interaction recorded as well?
Correct.
Okay. Was that submitted for evidence?
It was. Our camera for the room was not working that day, so I made sure I recorded on my body cam.
Okay. And your body cam, does it in color and black and white?
It is in color with audio.
Okay. So later on that day, you said you guys are talking and she's saying this is her son's father, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then what happens at that point?
So at this time, we end up speaking a little bit more. She advises that she wants to become a confidential informant. And we went ahead and we signed her up for the confidential informant program.
And what's a confidential informant program?
A confidential informant program. This is where someone's going to act, giving us intel without others knowing who she's involved with, that she's supplying information to us. So if she's witnessing events, she's seeing people participate in drug charges, for example, like we have here, she has information of where those drugs came from that day. So she could supply sufficient information to help us with charges down the line.
What made you offer her entry into that program?
Ms. Sanford had advised that she didn't want to speak on scene because she was afraid of other people knowing what was going on. So with her giving the information that she did of who the drugs belonged to with the substantial amount of marijuana we had found, we had felt, the Special Operations Division collectively, that she could possibly supply us information that would be helpful. And perhaps she was just scared when she was on scene to say anything with all the other individuals that were around at the gas station.
Okay. And so based upon that, that's when you submitted her for the program?
That is correct.
Okay. And then what happened next?
So she was released at that time with no charges. and she filled out the application process and all the paperwork to be an informant. I gave her my phone number. I had told her that she needed to consistently check in with me every Thursday on the phone, whether it was, I have nothing for you, or I do have something for you. And I told her I was not going to chase her. As an informant, it was her responsibility to continue following up with me.
Okay. And she understood?
She advised she understood.
Okay. And then what happened next?
Miss Sanford did not do that at all. Later on, though, she did reach out to me on April 3rd to let me know that her grandmother's car had been vandalized 2 different times. And it was because of the issues she was having with her ex-boyfriend that were drug related.
So from January 24th to April 3rd,
Correct.
you didn't hear from her,
No,
even though she was advised that every Thursday she was supposed to keep in contact with you.
correct.
Okay. She had called you and said that her grandmother's vehicle had been vandalized.
Correct.
And you said ex-boyfriend. Is that the same person as her father of her child?
No, at this time, she advised me her boyfriend was Jason Houston.
And that's a different person from the father of her child.
Correct.
Who's the father of her child?
She has 2 children, but the father of one of the children that's at issue here today is Oscar Vernon.
Oscar Vernon, Jason Houston.
Correct.
Okay. And did you go out to speak with Miss Sanford?
I spoke to Miss Sanford on the phone, and I had received permission to go to her grandmother's house to go speak to her regarding the incident to see if I could gather more information about what was going on.
And what did you learn from that?
From that, so Miss Sanford originally let me know that her ex-boyfriend, who had been dealing drugs, she broke up with him, and that he was mad at her and smashed out her grandmother's car windows. So I went there to go view the cameras. And while I was speaking to the grandmother, Miss Sandra Ritchie, she advised me that it was not Oscar Vernon that was there that day, that Miss Sanford had in fact stated it was the boyfriend, Jason Houston, and that Jason Houston was a black male with black hair, brown eyes.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. So Miss Sanford indicated to you that Mr. Vernon had vandalized her grandmother's car.
No, she had advised that her grandmother's car had been vandalized, and she believed it was due to the ex-boyfriend, her breaking up with the ex-boyfriend who was dealing drugs.
And his name is
Jason Houston.
Okay. So when you get to the grandmother's house, the grandmothers say it is Jason Houston who's been vandalizing my car.
She states that she believed it was related to Mr. Jason Houston, that he had somebody do it.
Okay. So was anything that you learned that day having to do with Mr. Vernon?
She stated that Mr. Vernon was not there that day, that it was Mr. Houston, and that Miss Sanford had not been in touch for approximately 1.5 years with Mr. Vernon.
1.5 years? Okay. What else did you learn?
She advised that Vernon was not on scene on the 24th, but it was Mr. Houston who was
Her grandmother advised.
grandmother's advising this. Yes.
Okay.
And then Miss Ritchie went into detail telling me the events that took place that day, which matched the facts that Miss Sanford had originally told me. Just swap out Mr. Vernon wasn't there, but the facts were actually Mr. Houston was there.
Well, how did the grandmother know all this?
She had stated that Miss Sanford advised her of this.
Okay. Did her grandmother, Miss Ritchie, ever tell you that Miss Sanford had stated to the police that it was Vernon and not Mr. Houston?
She had not stated that. However, she advised me that she has a lying issue and to be careful of what Evelyn said to me.
Okay. Did you ever look at any video footage involving any of these incidences?
I did. I checked the business.
Based on the best evidence, or any facts coming from a video or a document.
Sorry. Objection. Based on the best evidence rule, any facts coming from a video or a document are best shown by the video or document. So I'm going to object to any testimony regarding what's on any video.
At a preliminary hearing, the personal viewing of the video footage is allowed.
Well, Judge, if I could just respond, if the video is here, that yes, that's allowed, but testimony to what's on the video is not allowed. The rules of evidence apply in a preliminary hearing, just like any other hearing.
Where's the video?
I do not have a copy of the video. I'm not going to answer the next part because I don't.
No, I mean, Angela, I'm
Okay.
asking, where's
There's
the-
not a copy of the video because there was nobody matching the description she gave on the videos from the local businesses and the location where she was.
I would move to strike that, Judge. I mean,
So
she
did
just
you
answered
ever-
the question.
So you didn't keep copies of the videos because what you
There
were
was
looking for-
nothing on it.
Or not.
Correct.
All right, strike, yeah, move on. I got it. Nothing was on the video. I got you. Thank you.
Well, just for a point of clarity, so are we not allowed to talk about the contents of the video? Because that is what I was going to ask her about. Was he on there or not? Because it is my understanding that a preliminary hearing, you can talk about it if their
I
person
mean,
is
you
here
could
to
use
testify.
hearsay, so you could
Yeah.
ask her, did you see him? She say no, but don't go into like the,
Well, Judge, I mean, if she's testifying to what is on the video, that's not hearsay, right? That's what one would personally observe on a video. And that can be shown via the video, but under the best evidence rule, facts coming directly from the video cannot be testified to because the best evidence of those facts is the video itself.
right, but she can in this prelim, I'll let her testify if she saw a person. Does that make
But
sense?
but that would only come from seeing the video.
But it's still going for whether or not a person was there, which is the truth of the matter asserted, which she knows. And a hearsay is allowed I'm going to let Your Honor make a
Prelim.
decision.
Yeah, it's clear she watched the video and whoever she was looking for wasn't in it. That's all you want to know, right?
That is what I want to know.
Okay, there you go. I've got it.
Okay.
Excuse me.
You did say you spoke to Miss Ritchie, who is Miss Sanford's grandmother.
Correct.
Did she advise you that she knew Mr. Houston or Mr. Vernon?
She advised that she knew both and that Mr. Houston actually lived with her at the grandmother's house for a short period of time.
Okay. And did Miss Ritchie tell you the last time she had seen Mr. Vernon?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And was Miss Sanford living with Miss Ritchie?
I knew that Miss Sanford was at that time period recently living with her. I don't know if she was still currently living with her.
Okay, but she had been living with her around
Within
that
a
time.
recent time period,
Okay.
correct.
Did you ever ask Miss Sanford about the inconsistencies in her story?
I did.
And what was her response?
So I met with her 3 days later, which was April 6th. I had her come to the station where I reminded her she was under Miranda, and we sat in the room again with my body camera going because our camera still wasn't working. So it is recorded in color with audio. I asked her again to just remind me of the events that happened that day. She repeated almost an identical story to me, again stating it was Oscar Vernon. So I had advised her that I had seen surveillance in the area and I didn't see anybody matching that description. And if there was something else she'd like to tell me, and I asked her to make sure she thought very hard about the actual facts that happened that day. Ms. Sanford did admit to lying and then revised her story and stated that it was Jason Houston that day that had been with her, not Oscar Vernon in the vehicle.
Did she indicate to you that it was Mr. Houston who had the drugs?
At that time, she did try stating that it was Mr. Houston's drugs.
Okay. Why'd you say she tried stating that?
Well, I say try because it keeps changing stories of whose drugs who belongs to the drugs.
Okay. You have charged Ms. Sanford with VGCSA, possession of controlled substance, in Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 with intent to distribute. What was the probable cause basis for that charge?
The probable basis for that, for the intent to distribute, was the 4.74 ounces of marijuana in the scale that was found in her vehicle that she initially advised was hers.
Okay. The false statements, you charged her with false statements. What was the probable cause basis of that?
Probable cause basis of that was her admitting that she had lied and revising her story to me, as well as having other facts and circumstances that supported that.
Okay. The possession and use of drug-related objects, what was the probable cause basis for that charge?
That was for the scale that was found with the marijuana.
Okay. For the possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, what was the probable cause basis for that charge?
On the date that Evelyn was arrested on April 6th, after her admitting that she had lied to me, in her backpack that she had been carrying around was a half tablet of suspected oxycodone.
Was that submitted to GBI for testing?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have those results back?
I do not.
Not at this time. Okay. For the VGCSA possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, what was the basis for that charge? So that's the second one.
Yes, that was for the drugs that were found. The mushrooms is what they're also called, or psilocybin. There was 6.4 grams that was found with the marijuana on the original date, January 24th, in her vehicle. And she had advised that day belonged to her originally.
Okay. Do you know the address of Miss Ritchie's house, her grandmother?
Her grandmother's address is,
Objection, Judge. What is the relevance of the grandmother's address?
Well, she went to talk to her there and her car was vandalized. I was trying to see if she knew where it was that she had gone to. She's already testified to that.
Okay. You can refresh your recollection.
sure, it's 673 McDonald Street.
Okay. Do you know if that's in Fulton County?
Yes, it is.
Okay. The person who you had interacted with, Ms. Sanford, multiple times, and the person who you searched originally, is she in the courtroom today?
Yeah, you can say that if you need to.
Thank you. Yes, she is.
Please describe if she is on my left or on my right and with an article of clothing.
She is on your left. She has red hair with a blue shirt and a white long sleeve undershirt.
Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Ms. Sanford.
The record will reflect. Thank you.
Okay, Corporal Fisher, is there anything else you learned in your investigation, during your investigation rather, that we have not covered here today?
Not at this time that I'm aware of.
Okay, nothing further.
Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Is it Corporal Fisher?
Corporal, correct.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, so you were not the original officer to pull the, what was it, Chevy Impala over?
Correct.
Which officer was that?
That will be Officer Allen.
And you testified that there's no dash cam on his vehicle?
At the time, our department did not have dash cams.
But you did have body cams.
I myself had a body cam. I don't keep track of other officers, so I would assume Allen had his on. Officer Allen did, but I'm not going to testify to that.
But the department had body cams
Correct.
and it's policy to wear them.
Correct.
And you said when you arrived, Miss Sanford was sitting in the rear of the car?
Correct.
But did Officer Allen tell you who was driving?
I'm not aware at this time. I don't remember.
Is it in his report?
May I refresh my memory?
Yes.
Thank you. He advises that she was sitting in the vehicle.
Okay, but does it say who was driving?
It does not advise who's driving.
And You said that you were the one who searched Miss Sanford, correct?
I searched Miss Sanford's person, yes.
And there was nothing on her person?
No. Not on January 24th.
The day of the
The
alleged
original incident.
Yes.
Well, there's 2 dates of incidents here.
Well, the day of the car
The
being pulled
vehicle,
over.
correct.
And then she advised that she had information she wanted to share with you, but she was scared to do it on scene.
She advised she did not want to share it on scene.
Well, okay. So then when you spoke with her later, what date was that?
Well, I originally had spoke to her at the precinct on that same date, January 24th.
Okay, January 24th, and that was recorded on your body cam.
Correct.
And that's when she advised you that she wanted, well, let me rephrase. You testified that you signed her up as a confidential informant because she didn't want to speak on scene because she was afraid.
Which she stated not on scene. She stated that at the precinct.
Okay, that was at the precinct.
Correct.
Did she say why she was afraid?
Because there were individuals around at the gas station.
Did she tell you any specifics?
Not that I can remember at this time.
Okay. And then she left, and then the next time you spoke with her was in April, is that correct?
Was in April, correct.
Okay. And that's when she contacted you regarding her ex-boyfriend vandalizing her grandmother's car.
That she believed somebody in relation to him was vandalizing the car for him.
And when did you come out to her grandmother's house?
That was on April 3rd.
And you spoke with her grandmother regarding the incidents of January 24th.
Yes,
Okay. And was the grandmother present January 24th?
the grandmother was not present. And I'd like to clarify, when I say I spoke to her about the events, I did not provide facts to her. She advised me of what happened that day.
Okay. All right, if I could have one moment, Judge.
Absolutely.
Now, you said that you didn't provide any facts to the grandmother regarding the January 24th incident. Is that correct?
Correct.
Who brought it up when you were there to talk about what happened on April 3rd?
Miss Rishi was inquiring as to how I knew Evelyn. So given that this was an open investigation, I was not providing many facts. However, I told her I was there on the day she was arrested, and that's what created the spontaneous utterance of her relaying information to me.
Okay. And then you said you spoke with Ms. Sanford one more time. And at that point, according to your testimony, she admitted to lying.
That is correct.
And did you ask her why she allegedly lied the first time?
I do not remember if I asked her that.
Nothing further at this time, Judge.
Anything else on direct?
Yes, briefly.
Just gonna ask you a little bit about what you just testified to with Ms. Pinto. So you indicated that Ms. Sanford stated that she was afraid. And you also stated that, well, let's go back. Did she state to you why she was afraid?
She did not.
And I'm referring to when you first arrived at the gas station where you searched her. Did you see anyone behaving in a threatening manner towards her?
Not at all.
Did you see anyone lurking or looking at her?
They were just patrons at a safe distance. No one making direct eye contact other than just your normal gawking.
Okay. Did you, how close were the patrons and it's an approximate, would you say any patron was to the scene?
The closest they probably would have been at any time was maybe 15 to 20 feet.
Okay. Was Ms. Sanford, when you got there, was she yelling? Was she speaking loudly?
She was not. In fact, while I spoke to her, I kept the door open with me standing in front of her so people couldn't see what our interaction was.
Okay. Nothing further at this time.
Anything else, Ms. Pinto?
No, Judge.
Or anything else for this officer?
Nothing from the state.
All right, thank you, officer. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Argument?
Is there, would you like one side to go first?
Whoever wants to go first.
Judge, we'll leave it in the court's discretion.
All right, go ahead. What says the state?
The state will submit on the evidence.
All right, I'll find probable cause on all the counts. It looks like you guys have a consent bond, Ms. Pinto, you worked out on June 1st.
Yes, Judge, there was a recent consent bond.
She's having trouble making that?
Well, I wanted to talk to her, it was a consent bond and I'm honestly not sure if she knows about it. Your bond's down to 8,000 now.
I guess that's her grandma who'd be bonding her out.
We'd be happy to be heard on bond if the court
Again,
is.
because I know it's gonna fall on grandma, I'm assuming, right? Your grandma to bond her out. All right, let's see. Tweet.
Quickly, Your Honor. Ms. Pinto, I can't hear you, just FYI, so.
Oh, these microphones are a little
Yeah.
sensitive.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I
that's
was listening to you on purpose, but
Sorry.
I can't hear you.
3 cycles out of Tennessee, no convictions listed.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Ms. Pinto. It looks like it's 8,000, I think, right? Too many.
Yes, Judge, it's
Okay.
8,000 right now. And there has been an update. Just yesterday, I was informed that Miss Sanford was accepted to Women on the Rise, which is a program that, helps support women get back on their feet. So that's available to her. She has been incarcerated 72 days at this point. And the bond is now at 8,000. However, her family is struggling to make bond. And we would ask for a reduction, just some back sort of IALA factors. She's 24 years old. She's currently legally separated and she does have 2 children, ages 2 and 4, that she's eager to get back to. All of her immediate family is here in Georgia. She's lived in Georgia her entire life. She does have her GED, and she also attended trade school studying the culinary arts. She was, prior to her arrest, she was working for DoorDash. We would ask for a reduction, Judge, down to 5,000. In the case that her family cannot post bond, then we can utilize the services of the bail project and get her into that program. If we haven't had a chance to discuss it, I don't know if she want to do that. Yes, she does want to go to that program, Judge.
Is that a residential program?
I just got the email yesterday. Yes, they provide temporary housing and support and it's a woman-based program.
You spoke to Miss Patton's heart. She likes the programs. Miss Patton. Miss Pinto's got this down, so yeah. Right. But
Do you have a copy of the?
I don't think I've heard of this one.
You haven't heard of Women on the Rise?
I think maybe, but I mean, it's, I guess.
I've heard of that one. I just
Did you-
wanted to see an acceptance letter.
I can email it to you. I can
That's
show
fine.
it to you. I haven't had a chance to print it. I got it last night.
I may have, but it's not like 6 months. It's not like a set amount of time though, is it? Let's see. Bye-bye.
It doesn't have a specific amount of time in the letter, no.
Do they monitor them? Do you know?
What do you mean by monitor them?
Just drug testing and stuff?
That I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, it's aimed at reducing recidivism, so.
Okay.
But would the court like me to email it to?
Yeah, if you want, let me see. Tried to set up my email on this new computer, so yeah, let's see if we can. And the bill project should help, right? If her grandma can't.
Right, that's why we're asking for 5,000, Judge.
Oh, okay, there it is. Wait, maybe I have. Yeah, I think maybe I have heard of it.
Your Honor, you want me to?
Sure,
make
go ahead.
argument? Okay. Your Honor, the state will consent to the reduction in the 5,000 or a release to this program. The Women on the Rise program. We also would ask the conditions of no drugs without legal prescription, no weapons while out on bond, and a no contact with either Jason Houston, and I know she has a child with Mr. Oscar Vernon. Well, actually, I'm not going to impose a no contact because it sounds like he wasn't really a part of this at all. Just a no contact with Jason Houston.
So you want the 5,000 or UJR
To the program,
program on?
to the
Ms.
program.
Pinto, I'm assuming you don't have an objection.
No objection to that, Judge.
Okay, so we'll do 3,000 count one, UJR count two, UJR count three, 500, and then 3,000, or a UJR to the program only. Women on the Rise. You have to, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have to participate in the program of Women on the Rise. No further contact with Jason Houston. But we're going to make sure you stay in line here. So you'll have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, and participate. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. Also, you have to participate in that program. If by any chance your grandmother comes out of pocket any money absolutely any money to help you, you have to pay her back. Grandma, you make her pay you back. Do not let her off easy. You got to get her back on the right path. And I think some of that is you making sure that she participates in that, okay? So you have to pay her back anything. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Is
You don't
that
have a
on the
child-
bond order, Judge? Or is that just something you're telling? Because I don't know if the
What?
court can put that on the
No,
bond
I'm
order.
telling her to do
Okay.
that. You need to do the right thing. And your grandmother's there for you, so you need to pay your grandma back. Ms. Pinto is, you don't have a child with Mr. Houston though, right? It's the other, okay, so no further contact with Jason Houston.
And I can send you that transport order this afternoon. Is that,
Sure.
okay. Do you have any questions? Do you understand?
Hi, Judge Manning. Good morning.
Morning.
This is Taisha.
Sorry, yes, ma'am.
You said that's not on the order to return payment to grandmother?
Well, she needs to. Just put it on there, she pays her grandma back.
Okay,
Money or sweat equities. If you pay her $5 an hour to do chores, she needs to do that.
okay.
Who wants to go next?
I just got a new officer here, so do you mind if I just meet with him really quickly? But you can come up.
And what case is yours?
It's gonna be, what's his dude's name? Grubbs. Emmett Grubbs.
Emmett Grubbs.
I'm sorry?
Emmett Grubbs, number 6. And Ms. Pinto, if you're here if you're here this afternoon on the afternoon calendar, if you just want to run that order over here.
I'm here on the afternoon calendar.
I know, I said, are you?
No.
Oh, it's Ms. Cole the whole time. Okay, if not yet, because if I'm in here, I don't have my electronic signature on here to stamp it.
Oh, no, about that.
Yeah, she can bring, and I can just sign it because I haven't used this computer, so I don't have my side. I would wait until I got printed out. So if you want it signed quickly, yeah. If you want to give it to her and she brings it, I'll sign it and she can just bring it back to you.
I'll sign it.
Okay, if not, if you email it though, as soon as I get to where I can print it and sign it and scan it back to you, I'll do that. Yes, ma'am.
Can I go to the bathroom while they get
Sure.
scrubbed out?
Absolutely.
Lock me out this time.
It's unlocked.
Well, allegedly.
Is that what, yeah. I think we're all thrown off by being in this courtroom today.
This is a nice courtroom.
I don't know if how much I like it. It's like flip flopped or what.
It's small.
Yeah, and it's smaller. It's just set up kind of weird.
Mhm. I like it.
That's a good door. It's unlocked. I agree.
Yeah, Ms. Cole's got the whole calendar this afternoon.
This guy's out of town, she has to recover, but I asked to recover.
So Ms. Cole's got the whole, yeah, oh, and Beck has one case, all of it. Ms. Cole. Yeah,
I said to her, like, it's not like,
right,
what's how I say it.
right, everybody will show up.
It's Friday before Juneteenth.
That's true. What's the reset date on these? If we have to reset some.
Okay.
Which case are you here on, officer?
Anthony Brown now.
Okay. Oh, we haven't gotten those yet. She hasn't given them to me yet. She gave them to you? Yeah. Yeah. Probably right. Probably. All right, officer, if you raise your right hand, do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
All right, can you state your name, spell it for the court reporter, please?
my name is Davion Coleman. First name Davion, Daveon. Last name Coleman, Coleman.
All right, this is position 6, 23 CP 217581, Emmett Lee Grubbs, 68 days without indictments, burglary in the first degree. Go ahead, Ms. Pat.
Okay, hi, Officer Coleman.
Good afternoon. Well, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, awesome. Where are you currently employed?
Atlanta Police Department Zone 6, FOD.
What's FOD mean?
That's just like where I'm at. Like I'm not like at headquarters or Apex or narcotics, just FOD. It's like on patrol pretty much.
Okay, and how long have you been employed there?
3 years.
And were you employed there on or about April 10th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you post-certified on or about April 10th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how did you become aware of the defendant?
We just got a call for a burglary at 700 McDonough Boulevard.
And that is here in Fulton County?
Correct.
Okay, and when you arrived there, who did you see?
One Miss Constance King and another gentleman. She was with Mr. Mackey. They were standing over the suspect, Mr. You mind if I could look back and forth at mine?
You can look down at it, but you can't read from it. And please
Okay.
spell the names of the people that you're reading out for the court reporter.
Okay. All right. Miss Constance King is the victim. First name Constance, CONSTANCE. Last name King, KING. Suspect was Emmett Grubbs. First name spelled EMMITT. Last name Grubbs, GRUBBS. Associate of the victim is Mr. Mackey. Just his last name, MACKEY.
Okay, and when you arrived there and you said you saw all three of those people?
That is correct. Miss Constance and Mr. Mackey were pretty much, I mean, the gun wasn't pointing at them when I arrived on scene, but they, I guess, before I got there, had him at gunpoint and told him just sit down on the ground and wait for police to arrive. When I got there, he was on the ground. The suspect.
Who was on the ground? Oh, okay.
Mr. Grubbs.
Okay.
Was on the ground. I immediately put him in handcuffs, retrieved the weapon from Mr. Mackey. I had Officer Robinson, that's ROBINSON. Officer Robinson waited with the suspect at my patrol vehicle while I was questioning Miss Constance.
Okay, and what did you learn from Miss King?
She just said that she got a phone call from one of her lawn care associates saying that somebody was at her apartment, at her house with a U-Haul truck, gathering items that were located inside the home and putting them inside the U-Haul truck.
Did she indicate to you that she had given anyone permission to remove items from the home?
She specifically said that no one was supposed to be inside the home.
Okay. And did she indicate to you who the lawn care person was?
We didn't really go that far. It was just somebody who does her lawn for her.
Someone who works for her.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just notified her to come to the house to see who is inside, potentially stealing her equipment.
Did she ever give you an idea of items that she thought were removed?
Yes, she stated she had a business that dealt with making music, so a lot of sound equipment. She wouldn't get into specifics as far as the make and model of those items. She just said it was in total, after she went inside and looked at everything, she said it was definitely going to be over $1 million worth of equipment stolen from the location.
So like electric and technical equipment.
That is correct.
Okay. What did she say happened next? So she receives a call and then what?
She said she got there, realized that her door lock was broken off, forced entry was made. She went inside with Mr. Mackey at the time, and they just yelled inside of the home saying, if there's anybody in here, come out, we got guns. They said Mr. Grubbs came out, and they told him to lay on the ground, wait for police to come.
Okay, so she arrives at her home, or is it her home? Is it a residential home?
Yeah, it's a residential space. She owns it. However, she just used it at the time to house all of her business equipment, which I believe had went out of business. So she just left all of the equipment inside of the home at the time.
So it's a home, but it's used for storage.
For her, yes.
Okay. And she says she walks in with Mr. Mackey and states, if anyone's in here, come outside, we have guns.
Right.
Okay, and at that time, what did she say happens?
Mr. Mackey comes out and she says she just tells him to lay on the ground, wait for police.
Mr. Mackey, the person
My
who's
bad,
with
my
her?
bad, my bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mr. Mackey said he's the one with the gun. Yeah.
So who came out?
Mr. Grubbs.
Okay. And what did Mr. Grubbs do next?
Wait for police?
Did he lay down on the ground? Did he?
Yes. I mean, when I arrived on scene, he was on the ground.
Okay. And when you arrived on the scene, were they still located inside the house?
No.
Where were they?
Outside the house.
Okay. What was the demeanor of Miss King and Mr. Mackey?
They both were upset. Miss King was crying. Mr. Mackey was more so trying to console Miss King, I guess.
Okay. And what was Mr. Grubbs' demeanor? Excuse me.
Oblivious. He seemed to not know what he was doing wrong. He said, do you want to know what he said, or you just want to know his demeanor?
He said it to you?
Yeah, we read Miranda and he agreed to speak with us without representation.
Okay. Well, before we get there, let's go back a little bit.
Mm.
Okay. Were there any, when you arrived on scene, you said you spoke to Miss King first?
To be honest, it was probably Mr. Mackey since he was the closest to the suspect, but I spoke to both of them, you know.
Okay. And was this interaction recorded on body camera?
I know I put my body camera on. I would have to review my body camera to.
Okay. Was that submitted for evidence though?
Yes.
Okay. And that's typical to submit your body camera footage for evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Did Miss King or Mr. Mackey stated to you that they knew Mr. Grubbs in any way?
No, they didn't know him.
Okay, so after you arrived, you spoke to Miss King and Mr. Mackey, and then did you eventually speak to Mr. Grubbs?
Yes.
Okay, and when you spoke to Mr. Grubbs, you mentioned that you read him Miranda warnings, and he stated he would speak to you.
Yes.
And what did he indicate to you?
He just said that some people from a gas station, unknown associates, I assume, told him about this house and that it was abandoned, and that if he wanted to, he could go in there and find valuable items that he could sell for scraps.
Did he tell you what gas station that was at?
He just said down the road, but it's going to be 840 McDonough. That's the only gas station down there.
That's the only gas station in that area?
Yeah, it's like 840 McDonough, that area.
Okay. And that's in Fulton County as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go back. You said that did you observe the door being broken?
No.
Okay. Did you ask?
Oh, you mean like, did I? Yes, I saw that the door was broke. It was a forced entry. I didn't see who broke it, but.
Oh, yes. So was it like the handle broken? What, the frame?
This was like a weird little door. It was like almost like a barn style where the little latch goes over it. And then there was supposed to be a lock on top of that. That was broke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Miss King indicate to you that the lock had previously been broken?
No, she said everything was locked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ask Mr. Grubbs Did he break that lock?
Yes, he said he did not break the lock. He said he had nothing to do. He said the doors was already open. He had nothing to do with breaking, forcing entry.
Did you ask him about the U-Haul?
Yes.
And what did he indicate to you about that?
He said he rented the U-Haul from Sandy Springs. We tried to contact that U-Haul company representative. They refused to speak with us at that time.
Okay. Did he tell you why he went into the house and took those items?
Yeah, he said he wanted to sell it for scrap, sell it as like junk and to get money for it. He said he's homeless, so he was just trying to get money.
Did he indicate to you that he had spoken to an owner or anyone regarding these items?
No, he said on body cam that he thought the building was abandoned because that's the information he got from some unknown individuals at a gas station down the street.
Did he know the individuals who told him that?
I'm sure he did, but he said he did not know their names. He just was in conversation and they just mentioned it and he went to go check it out.
Did he indicate to you that he did a check to see who owned that house? Any research about this house that was allegedly abandoned?
I'm sorry, can you repeat? You said
Did he indicate to you that he had done any research about this house that was abandoned? As in, did he see, oh yeah, this house actually is abandoned?
I mean, he didn't tell me that. I don't know if he did research about the house or not.
But he didn't tell you that he had done research about the house?
He did not tell me anything about researching the house.
Okay.
Mm.
You spoke with Mr. Grubbs. Would you be able to identify him?
Yes.
And feel free to stand. Is he in this courtroom presently?
Yes, I can see him on the screen to the right of me, wearing a blue jumpsuit with a white shirt underneath, gray and black hair, or salt and pepper here on top.
Okay.
Older gentleman. Yeah.
All of our cameras are a little different, I think. So if you could just stand up and identify him.
Yes, he is going to be to the right of the courtroom from me, wearing a blue jumpsuit, white shirt underneath.
Okay. Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Grubbs.
All right, the record will so reflect.
Did you ever ask Mr. Grubbs if he, how much he intended to sell those items for?
We did not.
Okay. But you said the value of the items from Ms. King was possibly in excess of $1 million.
That's what she stated.
Did you ever do any research about those items to see how much they would cost?
I did not.
Okay.
She also didn't list all of the items that were stolen. She said there was just too many. I offered to, stay on scene longer to get the full list. She said she would just add the list through our online portal. I don't know if she actually went through with that or not, but.
Did you ever speak to the lawn care person who initially let Ms. King know?
He was actually not on scene. The only other person I spoke to, if you wouldn't mind me going back to my report.
Yep, you can read it. You just can't read it out loud. So you can reflect or refresh your memory and then testify.
Okay. Okay. There was, can I read the name though? Because I'm not going to be, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there was a Mr. Corey Buckle, first name Corey, Corrrie, last name Buckle, Buckle. Mr. Buckle has stated that there was actually a U-Haul truck at the location 700 McDonald Boulevard last night, the night before we actually arrested Mr. Grubbs, loading the truck up with a lot more items. So I'm assuming those are the items that Ms. King was talking about when she said over $1 million.
Okay. Did Mr. Buckle ever indicate he saw a person loading up the U-Haul items?
Right. Yes. He said he saw one person. He didn't name Mr. Grubbs here or anything like
Describe
that.
him physically?
No, he didn't describe anybody. He just said, I saw people loading up. He said multiple people. He saw people loading up a U-Haul truck the night before. He just didn't know that they were, criminals. So that's why he didn't call police.
Okay. But the next day he's observing the same instance of Mr. Grubbs loading up a U-Haul with multiple items.
Right. He did see him the next day.
And that's why he called Ms. King.
He didn't call though. He just came out.
No, called Ms. King and let her know.
He didn't call Ms. King.
Well, who called Ms. King?
The lawn care provider who left the scene.
Okay, Mr. Buckle is not the lawn.
He is a neighbor. He lives literally right across the street. He was
Okay.
a witness to this whole thing. Like, he's just
Understood.
watching again from his window. And once we got there, started making arrests, he came out and was like, hey, just like, so y'all know, this exact same U-Haul was out here last night loading up items as well.
Okay. Did you see the U-Haul when you got there?
Right. We told it. SNW told
Okay.
it.
And you never were able to speak with a representative of U-Haul to see who rented the truck?
Negative. They refused to talk to us when we got on the phone with them.
Okay. Is there anything else you learned during the course of your investigation that we've not covered here today?
I don't believe so.
Nothing further at this time.
Cross, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, good morning, officer.
Good morning, sir.
700 McDonough Boulevard, that's the incident location.
Correct.
It's by Moreland, near the Aldi and the Starlight Drive-In, is that right?
That's a little bit further down. McDonough Boulevard. It's more so like the penitentiary area.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
Atlanta Penitentiary.
Right. That's gonna be the Starlight's on Moreland. It's a different street.
Okay. This neighborhood is Thomasville Heights?
Thomasville Heights is actually down the street as well. That's gonna be zone 3. This incident occurred in zone 6.
Benteen Boulevard Heights? If you know the neighborhood, Benteen neighborhood,
Man.
Boulevard Heights, Peoplestown. I didn't mean to pop quiz you. I don't mean to pop
Yeah,
quiz you.
we don't refer to that area like how you are
Fair enough.
referring to it as.
It is by the United States Penitentiary, Atlanta, right?
Yes,
Okay.
right across the street from it.
Is this your regular beat?
Negative. I'm 6'11". That's 607's beat. I was just helping out that day.
Okay. Next to 700 McDonough Boulevard's an abandoned church.
Can't recall. I'm sure there is though.
Based on your recollection, were there empty fields around this home as well?
No, I think it was a bunch of new builds. That's why Corey Buckle came up. He was a very concerned citizen. He just bought that house. It was built in like 2022.
I see. Okay. And as far as the condition of 700 McDonough Boulevard, is it a building that the windows are broken out of?
I can't recall if any windows was broken, just the door that was forced open.
Is it a building where the windows are patched up with plywood?
I can't recall.
Okay. Is it fair to say that it does look abandoned from the exterior?
Would I say abandoned? I wouldn't say abandoned.
Do you recall any graffiti on the home as well?
There may have been graffiti, but I would have to check my body cam footage to make sure.
Okay. No one was living at the home.
Yeah, as far as I know, no one was unoccupied residential home.
Okay. And then did you ever go inside?
Yes, we went inside.
Was there any furniture inside?
Yes, there was a lot of furniture, a lot of equipment. There was a lot of everything inside that house.
Okay. So, the U-Haul still on location when you arrive?
Yes.
Are the items inside the truck?
Yeah, there were a few tripods inside the truck. If you want, I can refer back to my report and
Sure.
list of things I do have. I think I listed a few. Yeah, so I listed tuners, mixers, shures, and tripods.
Okay. Buckle sees activity at the house the night before. Yes or no?
Yes, Mr. Corey Buckle. Yes.
Does not call 911.
Yes, he didn't know that it was a robbery. I mean, a burglary at
That's
the time.
okay. And does not place Mr. Grubbs that night with the U-Haul. Is that correct?
Nope, there's not ID Mr. Grubbs at all.
Okay. Is there activity with the U-Haul the next day as well?
Yeah, the day of the arrest?
Yes.
Yes,
So that's when lawn care guy calls Miss Knight, correct?
correct.
Okay. Does lawn care guy give a description of who is moving items?
I would have to refer back to our report.
Is there any description included in your warrant that you've reviewed today?
I'll have to look inside the warrant.
Okay.
Okay, cool. In the warrant is listed as a black male wearing a black hoodie with gray sweats.
Okay. You recall what Mr. Grubbs was wearing that day?
I cannot recall. I would have to just go off of what I listed in my report.
You said earlier that the front door was locked with a barnyard latch.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Is that like a metal hook that goes?
Yeah, it's like
into
a
the
metal.
hole?
Yeah, it was like metal, and then the door was wood.
Okay. Miss Knight is saying that she had millions of dollars worth of equipment inside this home, right?
Correct.
And it was secured by a barnyard latch.
That is correct.
No security system
No cameras, no alarm.
and no bars, no other defensive measures for the home, anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. You offered to stay at the location so she could give a full accounting of what was missing.
That is correct.
And she declined that.
She was very distraught. I guess that was considered to be her life savings or her life's work that was taken from her. And she just really couldn't articulate at that time. So she said she would do it at a later date.
She was distraught. You offered to stay. She wasn't able to focus, right?
Yeah, she was just crying like a lot.
And you offered to follow up. You gave her options to follow up.
Yeah, I gave her I wrote down the AtlantaPD.org website for her. And it's like a system where you could always add anything as far as items stolen to a report that I've already completed.
As far as you know, has there been any follow-up as to listing the items that are allegedly missing?
As far as I know, I have not checked back to see if she actually added any items.
Has she contacted you since this incident?
No, sir.
Okay. When they discover allegedly Mr. Grubbs inside the home, is he carrying anything on his person? Does he have anything on his person that's a stolen item?
As far as I'm aware, they just said he came out and they had him at gunpoint, told him to sit on the ground until police arrived. They didn't mention anything about what was in his possession.
Okay. Were you able to determine at what time Mr. Grubbs came to 700 McDonough Boulevard?
No.
Okay.
No.
And did he have keys to the U-Haul on his person?
Yes.
Okay. Did the keys work?
We didn't try it. We just gave the keys to S&W tow company and they took the vehicle.
Okay. Is Miss McKnight or Miss Knight, is she alleging, Miss King, excuse me, is Miss King alleging that items were missing when she came on scene?
Yes.
If everything you've said is so far that there were people moving items from inside the home to the U-Haul, right?
Right.
And if the U-Haul's still on location, right?
Right. U-Haul was on location.
And items are still inside the U-Haul, correct?
Right. Items that should not be inside the U-Haul was inside of the U-Haul, correct?
Fair enough. Buckle's not saying he saw anyone take items beyond the U-Haul, is that right?
Buckle is stating that he saw someone loading up U-Haul trucks the night before.
He's not saying that he saw items being moved beyond to the U-Haul truck, is that right?
The night before, he said he did see males loading a U-Haul truck.
Right. Does he say they took the items past the U-Haul truck?
What do you mean?
Did they take them out of the U-Haul truck into their own cars? Did they walk them down the street?
No, the U-Haul truck was the means of the burglary, like transporting the stolen items.
Right.
Right. So
They
they
left it overnight, right?
No, he said that U-Haul took off. You see what I'm saying?
Truck-
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. The U-Haul truck is the one who is getting the items and then taking them somewhere and then coming back for more.
I see. Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
All right, redirect.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for this officer?
Nothing from the state.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Stay safe.
You
All right,
too.
go ahead with argument. All right. Five probable cause on burglary. Looks like he's at a no bond status.
I need your number because this case is going forward.
Yes, Judge. Is that 68 days?
Yeah, 68 days. Go ahead. Pre-trial.
Your number. What works?
38 cycles, 4 probation violations, 5 FTA, death by shoplifting felony convictions, 2013, 2004, 97, 95, burglary convictions, 95, 2005, possession of cocaine with intent to distribute conviction, 2005, death by conversion, 2005, criminal attempt and possession of tools for the commission of a crime, conviction, 2007. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the oldest or the most recent burglary is from 1995. I think the most recent charge, it appears to be 2019, theft by shoplifting. Mr. Grubbs is 57 years old. He's not married, but he is a father. He has grandchildren as well. He has been in Georgia his entire life, and he did a year of college studying business administration. He works for the city of Atlanta, the water department previously, and he had 8.5 years of experience at that location. And he worked in the Army from 83 to 87 as a common engineer. Judge, I will say it like this, it does not appear, well, there are other people that are allegedly involved in this situation. I'm skeptical about if there really was $1 million worth of equipment at that home. It is, from my understanding, an abandoned home in a neighborhood with other abandoned homes. And if it really is secured by a barnyard latch that speaks volumes to me, it appears to be other individuals involved. As well, and I would just emphasize that at this time, when Groves was inside the home, allegedly that there were no items being taken. He is indigent, he does require help. He's not able to afford any kind of bond. The court's inclined to do $5,000 contingent upon a program or anything of that nature, that would be the request.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
I'll consent to that. Is he in a program or?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
To be completely honest.
Well, so I guess it just has to be 5,000.
Okay. All right, let's see. Does he have a place to live, Mr. Cho?
Judge, is a mailing address.
Because what he has is McDaniel. Is that just mailing?
Oh, okay. Judge, she's homeless.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 700 McDonough Boulevard. No further contact with Constance King. You don't have to supply an address upon release as to where you're going to be living. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, participation in any program Mr. Cho gets you into, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you'll be working, $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Mr. Cho, if he gets into the program, just send it to Ms. Patton and we'll do a UJR or something later to a program as long as she consents. Case you hear.
Mr. Stinson would be next, or, yeah, Stinson. Officer Lee.
All right, Ms. Pinto. You got what I meant earlier, right, Ms. Pinto? I don't have my signature, so I wouldn't want you to have to wait. I don't know, this one, it doesn't have, it's supposed to sync with other computers, but it's not, so I don't have my little stamp. Yeah,
I'll try to get it done this afternoon, it's just a matter of getting in touch with the program. and
Yeah.
Getting the details, so.
huh? Would you get up on something? Oh, well, if she gets it done. Well, if you email it or something later, then I'll definitely be, by then I'll be at home. Oh, I don't even know if it's up there. I don't know where it's at. I don't even know where it's at. It was Gilmore Public. Just, you know. Cienco.
Yeah, and I have another one on the way.
All right, this is Cienco Stinson. Raise your right hand, officer. You swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
My last name's Lee, Lee. First name's Jinu. Pronounced as Jinu.
All right. Stand by until they come out here.
He's in a no bond status?
I think so, yeah. I guess so.
Makes.
Yeah, no bond as of the April 7th.
Okay.
She was just working with people yesterday, Miss Pinto, just agreeing to stuff left and right.
I was?
She was.
Hey,
They had a lot of consents yesterday.
also had lack of officers yesterday, so very few yesterday.
All right, this is position 23 CP 217512. Cienco Stinson, 72 days without indictment, no bond on aggravated assault strangulation. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Hi, Officer Lee.
Hey, how's it going, man?
How are you?
Very good.
Where are you currently employed?
With the Syria Atlanta Police Department in
Okay.
Zone 3,
Okay, and how long have you been employed there?
about close to 8 years now.
Eight years?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Were you employed there on or about May 29th, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you post-certified?
Yes.
Were you post-certified on or about May 29th, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how'd you come in contact with the defendant?
Myself and Officer Jones were dispatched to our 911 calls
What was the 911 call?
about a woman, female, got into dispute and give us the wrong address about 3 times. So we had to constantly have to go check the address that she was given to us. And every time we went there, we made we had requested for a callback with the dispatcher, and the dispatcher told us the apartment 4. So, you know, apartment 4 in my area is only one place, which is gonna be 2600 Old Happy Road.
Okay. Did you ever find the location of the incident?
Yes,
Okay. And where was that at?
2612 Old Happy Road.
Okay. And is that in Fulton County?
Yes,
Okay. And when you got there, who did you make contact with?
I observed about 6 or 7 people in the parking lot. And I spoke to a woman and I asked her first because we knew the caller was the female. So I asked her if she called 911. She said no,
Okay.
and she did not.
Did anyone admit to calling 911?
I believe at second, I believe I asked Mr. Stinson if he knows anybody call 911. I was advised that his neighbor probably did because they were being too loud because they got into a verbal altercation.
Okay.
with his
Being
friend.
too loud, what does that mean?
So they were advised me that they got into verbal altercation. So since they were being too loud, maybe the neighbor called.
And who is they? You said Mr. Stinson and who else?
There were about 4 other people in the parking lot inside of the van.
Okay.
And
Were they male or female?
yes, male and females.
Okay. Do you remember how many males, how many females?
I believe 1 males and 2 females.
Okay. And then what happened? He indicated that a neighbor might have called, and then what?
And then Mr. Stinson advised me that he got into verbal altercation with his wife. So everything was verbal. So he's just gonna go to the store and just cool off. Then I went back to, I started speaking with the other, the ladies and the gentlemen there. They all advised me that they didn't call 911. So Officer Jones were talking to Miss Stinson at the same time. So I approached Officer Jones, and Miss Stinson also told Officer Jones the same thing. And I looked around, Mr. Stinson was gone. So I figured that he went to the store.
Okay. Did Officer Jones, are you observe any injuries on Miss Stinson?
Officer Jones did, yes.
Okay. And what injuries did he observe?
He advised me that there were a few marks in the neck area, but
Okay.
right here.
Okay. And by marks, you mean bruising or lacerations?
It's like a superficial injury. It appeared to be bruising
Okay.
here in the neck area.
Okay. Did you or Officer Jones ask Miss Stinson where the injuries came from?
So after Miss Stinson discovered that Mr. Stinson was not in the area anymore, she started to cry to us. And she started to state at us that she was choked with 2 hands by Mr. Stinson. She almost lost her consciousness. And she was struck in the face with the palm multiple times. So that's when she started telling us everything, what happened. So she was telling us that she had to give like fake addresses to the dispatcher because she was afraid to let Mr. Stinson know she was calling 911. So she was acting like she was talking to the real estate agents. That's why he kept getting the wrong address.
Okay. You said Mr. Stinson was gone at this time when
Yes.
she was talking.
Yes.
Did she tell you who had hit her or strangled her?
Mr. Stinson.
Okay. And did she state their relationship?
She was telling us they were married.
They're married. Okay. Did she let's go back a little bit. You said when you first arrived that you spoke to Mr. Stinson. How do you know that was Mr. Stinson?
I didn't know it was her.
Him.
Oh, I
I'm asking
didn't
him.
know he wasn't.
Okay. Did he ever show you an ID?
No.
Okay. So did Miss Stinson indicate to you what her husband looked like?
No.
Okay. So how were you made aware of the person who left was her husband?
Because since she was started to telling us what happened, she told us that was the person who just left the parking lot was her husband.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Did anybody else witness this incident?
No.
Did she tell you why they were fighting?
No, she did not say. Yes, they were arguing about getting in the car to go to church. That was the reason that I got.
Okay. Did Mr. Stinson ever arrive back on scene?
No.
Okay. When did you locate Mr. Stinson?
A few weeks later, I went back to her because Miss Stinson was basically squatting in the abandoned apartments with her children. So I was looking for a shelter. I was calling every single shelter in the state of Atlanta to look, find a place to stay at. That's why I went back and checked on her. But when I was back there, Mr. Stinson was there as well.
Okay. And did you arrest him at that time?
No.
Okay. But you saw him?
Yes, I saw him.
Okay. And was that the same person who had left at the early event?
Honestly, I didn't realize that was him. I find out later after I got his name.
Okay. Where'd you get his name from?
I got it from him, I believe.
Did he show you his driver's license or anything? He just told you his name?
Yes.
Did you run a GCIC on him?
I did.
Okay. And did that come up with any picture?
Negative. No.
Okay. Did Miss Stinson ever tell you that was her husband?
During the call or?
The second time you came out, because you said the second time you came out, he was there, but you didn't recognize him.
Yeah, one male was there with Miss Stinson.
Did she say this is my husband or
Yes, she did.
identify him in any way?
She did.
Okay. Did she tell you his name?
No, I asked Mr. Stinson.
Oh, and he told you his name. Okay. Did you ever ask Mr. Stinson about the previous incident?
Ma'am,
About the previous incident? Did you ever ask
No.
the defendant
I did not.
what happened? Okay. You said you didn't arrest him at that time. When was he actually arrested?
I did not arrest Mr. Stinson.
Okay. Do you know when he was actually arrested?
No.
Okay. The person you saw at the house that day and the person you saw who left from the original incident, are they in the courtroom?
Yes, it is.
Can you please identify whether he is on my left or on my right and identify him with an article of clothing?
The gentleman is sitting on your left to my right, wearing a blue jumpsuit with white shirt.
Okay, please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Stinson.
All right, the record will so reflect.
Mr. Stinson was charged with aggravated assault strangulation. What was the probable cause basis for that?
There was a marks near the airway, and based on the victim's statement, and so it was a DV. She was stating me that she was able to describe the act, and she was able to describe that she almost lost her consciousness for a couple of seconds, and she wasn't able to walk. So we offered her EMS, but she refused.
Okay, what's DV mean?
Domestic violence.
Okay. In your experience, you said you work for Zone 3?
Yes.
Okay. How many domestic violence incidences have you done?
I can't count the numbers, the exact number or approximate numbers.
Over 20?
Over 20, yes.
Over 50?
I would say yes.
Okay. Did Ms. Stinson indicate to you how long, well, let me go back. Did she actually lose consciousness?
She said she almost did.
Okay, she almost lost consciousness. Did she indicate to you how long this incident occurred?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else that you learned during your investigation that we have not covered here today?
No.
Okay, nothing further at this time.
Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Is it Officer Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so it was you and Officer Jones, is that correct?
That's correct.
Just the two of you?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you wearing your body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was uploaded?
Yes, ma'am.
And was Officer Jones wearing body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you remember what time of, it was, well, let me rephrase. It was May 29th, 2022, correct?
29, 22. Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what time you responded?
Approximately before noontime, about 11 or 11:30-ish. Not really sure about the time. I just have to guess.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you said when you arrived, there were 6 or 7 people in the parking lot?
Correct.
And you later determined that 2 of those people were Miss Stinson and Mr. Stinson.
Later on, I did, yes.
The 4 other people, did you speak with them?
I did.
And they were in a van, is that what you said?
Yeah, there was a van parked in the parking lot.
Okay. And so you spoke with them and that was on body cam?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And I understand that they all said that none of them called 911.
Correct.
Did they witness any of the alleged incident?
No,
Do you know if they're connected at all to Mr. and Mrs. Stinson?
Miss Simpson told me they were the family members, but later on I found out that they were also a family that were squatting in the abandoned apartments.
Okay, so they weren't necessarily family members of Mr. and Mrs. Stinson. And okay, you spoke with Miss Stinson.
Yes,
Did you observe any injuries to her?
there was a mark that Officer Jones pointed out in the neck area.
Okay, but did you personally see any injury to Miss Stinson?
Other than that, no.
And did Miss Stinson receive any medical care?
She refused, ma'am.
Do you have any photos of the alleged injury?
I believe I pointed a body cam towards her neck area, but I'm not really sure. I might have to go back and check.
And at some point, Mr. Stinson left.
Yes,
Is that right? And then, as I understand it, well, you wrote a report regarding the incident. Is that correct?
correct.
And do you have the report with you?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay. You told Miss Stinson that if Mr. Stinson came back for her to give you a call. Is that right?
Can I look at the report real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
It's at the bottom if you,
Is it the bottom?
last line.
Oh, yes, yes.
And did Miss Stinson ever call you?
No.
So you, on your own accord, went back to the apartments later?
Yes, I did.
And what date was that?
I do not remember the date.
Was it a week later, a month later?
If I have to guess, it's about 2 weeks later or a week and a half.
Okay, and no one had put in like a welfare check or anything? You just chose to go on your own?
I just chose to go on my own because I was calling the shelter so that they could find a place to live or stay at, because they were squatting inside the abandoned apartments without no power or anything like that.
And you said you spoke with Mr. Stinson that day?
I did.
And
And
you-
also, I believe there's a field interview that were made by other officer. It's either Mr. Stinson or Miss Stinson call 911 about other unrelated issues. So I was skimming through the report, and I did not read the field interview about Mr. Stinson, but other officer in morning watch hours wrote a field interview for Mr. Stinson after the incident.
Okay, so there was a field interview by another officer.
Yes.
Which officer?
Brown, Officer Brown?
And do you know the date of that?
No,
Was it between the alleged incident and when you went back to the apartments?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
And you don't know, you don't know who called police
No,
that day?
I don't get to see those, so.
And forgive my ignorance, but what's the difference between a field interview and just like responding to a call?
So responding to a call or doing a report is like an instant, documenting an instant where crimes occurred. But field interview is like you write the name of the person and just write quick narrative about how how they were met. That, like, if you know what I'm trying to say, like if I go to if I write a field interview about you right now, I would just write I met this person in this date. That's it.
Okay, but what triggers a field interview?
It's up to the officer. It's like if I do a traffic stop, and if I just decided to give a verbal warning, I just do a field interview of the driver.
Okay, so it's possible that no one called 911?
I don't know how Officer Brown went over there. I didn't read the remarks or anything like that.
Okay, so your office had, after the incident, your office had 2 points of contact with Mr. Stinson,
Yes,
and he wasn't arrested at either of those times.
that's because if I do a report, unless the warrants get flagged under the record, we don't know what happened to the. I mean, we're not gonna know whether the person is the suspect listed as a suspect on the other incident or not.
Okay, when did you take out warrants for the May 29th, 2022 incident?
That was afterwards. I was advised by the investigators that I need to flag a warrant on Mr. Stinson. That's how the warrant was flagged on Mr. Stinson's record.
All right, and sorry, I don't understand all the terminology. When you say flag a warrant, is
just a
that
sworn
getting
out
it
warrant.
signed? Okay,
So whenever the field officer goes to call 911 calls, we do a police report about that incident and we notify the investigator. So that later on, investigator can do their investigation and then sworn out a warrant against the suspect. As a patrol officer, we don't do that.
okay. But do you have arrest powers?
I do,
And you do arrest people?
yes,
You just don't swear out warrants?
I do.
You do swear out warrants?
But if the suspect's not on the scene after the crimes has occurred, we don't arrest, we don't go after the suspect, we just go to a different call. It's up to the investigator to do their investigation and sworn out a warrant and flag it under their record. So I don't follow up any cases that I write a report for.
Okay.
Just get forwarded to investigators.
Is Officer Brown an investigator?
No, he's a patrol officer.
Okay, but you did swear out this warrant.
I did.
Your Honor, he's stated that about 3 times now.
Well, he was,
I mean, I get that Ms. Pinto's confused because, I mean, I was a cop for 15 years. And so what I hear you saying is if you go to a scene and the suspect's gone, you just write a report and leave. You don't do an arrest warrant. You just say somebody else do it.
We just notify the investigator, ma'am, and then do the report so that investigator can do a follow-up.
Okay, let's say hypothetically you're there and there's a dead body and there's a murder. And obviously the suspect is gone. So, and you know that Jane Doe shot John Doe. You're not going to do a warrant for Jane Doe. You're just going to be like, oh, well, I guess somebody will get to it and do the arrest warrant down the road.
We preserve the crime scene and.
Well, you're looking up there at me like I'm crazy. For 15 years, if I went somewhere and I knew that Luisa Pinto robbed a bank and I see it, and somebody says, that's Luisa Pinto. I
this is
could take
hypothetical for the record.
Right, which you didn't, but I mean, I would take out a warrant.
I,
if I-
I understand all that, Your Honor.
I'm just curious. I mean, that just kind of
But I mean, this
blew
is
my
a,
mind there. I'm just,
I think we're getting beyond the scope of this probable cause hearing with.
No,
this
yeah, but I was
different-
just, I'm saying, so you didn't take out the warrant. Not that you ever robbed a bank. It'd have probably been me. But I mean, so if you were there, they said he did it, but you didn't take out the warrant until July. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I guess it's
Can I-
just the way you guys do
Can I
it.
explain about that? Or
I'm just,
It's,
no, I'm just wondering. That
because-
just blows my mind. That's okay.
well, I don't want to take over your questioning, but just answer what Ms. Pinto's asking.
Sorry, I just got a
You don't
little
necessarily have
confused as
like,
to-
give
I was
a
very
full,
confused, Judge,
Okay, I
so.
Thing about it, but
But the investigator called you then and told you to take the warrant out.
yes,
Okay, and to clarify, you took out a warrant for aggravated assault July, just had it, 17th, 2022.
yes.
Okay. If I could have one moment, Judge.
Sure.
Oh, just briefly, did you look for any kind of security footage at the apartment complex?
There's no cameras.
Okay, nothing further.
Anything else on direct?
no, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, go with the argument.
Judge will submit on the charge.
All right, anything else?
State submits to the evidence.
All right, I'll find probable cause. It's 72 days. He's on no bond status.
Yes, Judge, and we do have a bond motion filed that we're asking to be heard on.
All right.
23 cycles, 2 out of Iowa, 3 out of Georgia, 1 out of Minnesota, and 17 out of Missouri. Fleeing and assault on a police officer conviction, 2004. Possession of marijuana conviction, 2007. Possession of a firearm conviction, 2011. Endangering a child welfare conviction, 2018. And unlawful use of a weapon conviction, 2020.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. First, I think it's important to understand some of the, I guess, procedural posture. The alleged incident was May 29th, 2022.
Right.
And Mr. Stinson was arrested in April of 2023. So in that time, he did serve some time in Athens, Clark County. And while he was in their jail, he did complete the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program. It's a college class with UGA that focuses on reentry. We have a letter of recommendation from the professor of that class that I'm happy to provide to the court. But, you know, Mr. Stinson, this incident was, over a year ago at this point, and he has been working on himself since the alleged incident. He was an active participant in the reentry class. He made art for the zine that the class made, and I have a glowing recommendation from his professor. As a part of his charge from Athens, he was sentenced to go to Fresh Winds. It's a program in Athens. It's a residential substance abuse treatment program. And he was accepted there sometime in April is my guess, because that's when his plea in Athens was entered. And it's a part of his the conditions of his probation that he attend this program. So really our goal is to get him out so that he can go to that program in Athens.
Is it WIND or WINS?
I have both written down, so now I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, it's Fresh Winds.
WINDS.
Yes. And I did try to call them, Judge. I have a voicemail, so I'm waiting to hear back. But I know at one point that, I know he's been accepted. It's just a question of when, if, there's still a bed. But yes, it's Fresh Winds Recovery, but the website is Fresh Wind Recovery.
Okay.
So he does have that program that we're trying to get him into. It's substance abuse residential. He's lived in Georgia for about 2 years. He's originally from St. Louis. He has 10 children, ages ranging from 27 to 4, and 2 grandchildren. His immediate family is here in Georgia. He did graduate high school in 1996 and did do some college coursework. Prior to his arrest, he was a graphic artist. He had a business doing that. Let's see. He was transferred directly to Atlanta after his release from Athens. So prior to even coming to Fulton, he was incarcerated for 10 months. So he is indigent, Judge. He hasn't been able to work in over a year. So we're asking for $5,000 so that we can ask the bail project to post his bond and get him into the Fresh Winds program.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Pre-trial, when was I don't think you called it a cruelty to children, but something endangering a minor?
Yes, that was out of Missouri in 2018.
As a conviction?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I was talking to an officer. Were there any other violent charges related to this victim?
Nothing I'm aware of.
Okay. Your Honor, based upon the seriousness of this charge, state would be requesting $15,000. I understand he's in a no bond status. State would be requesting $15,000 and no contact. I understand they're married, but with the victim in this case, Jeanette Stinson, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. And ankle monitor with 24-hour curfew, with the exceptions of legal, medical, and basic life necessities and childcare, and a stay away from. Well, I couldn't ascertain if they actually live at that location or not. But if Miss Stinson is living there, then a stay away from that location.
Okay. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2612 Old Hateville Road, Apartment 4 in Atlanta. No further contact with Jeanette Stinson. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule and the exact location you'll be working. Also, basic life necessities and participation in that program. $15,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The officer for Anthony Graham. Graham.
Yeah, I put it in here. It's in here.
Graham.
You're welcome.
I think that was it for you, right, Ms. Pinto? Oh, no, you had one more. Officer, what case are you here for? Do you want to bring Hopkins out first so Ms. Pinto can? Yeah, bring Hopkins out first since the officer's not here. And we can deal with that, and then we'll bring Graham. That way Ms. Pinto can be excused. Yeah, you can still sit up here. We're gonna do yours next. Nobody's here for Hopkins, right? Who are you here for?
I'm here for, I think, Newton.
Who?
Newton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can have a seat. We'll just bring Hopkins out for a second. Ms. Pinto, we'll go ahead and take number 1 since the officer's not here.
Who are you here for?
That way you can.
Time. Is he on the 1 o'clock calendar?
What's that?
I don't have a Bhutan on. A Bhutan, that's the 1 o'clock calendar.
That's 1 o'clock?
Yeah, position 2.
Whoops.
Well, if he's here and present, who's
It's
doing that
Cole.
one? Oh, it's Miss Cole.
Yeah. Because Mr. Cho passed the buck.
It should have said 1 p.m.
He's getting ready,
My
they're getting ready to
apologies.
go on their long weekend. Miss Pinto's like, I'm out once this happens. But oh, you got first appearance.
Okay,
Ah.
if I can, is Ms. Cole in a hearing? Is there, would she be able to get here in 35 minutes or so? I hate to put that on her, but he hasn't slept.
I can ask.
Okay.
I mean, she has all the cases on the 1 o'clock calendar.
Okay.
So.
It's
Yeah.
gonna have to be,
I'm not gonna make her come before one.
I'm so sorry about that.
I stopped the speeding on the way here.
Well, that's good.
One of my officers.
Well, yikes.
Judge Manning,
Uh-huh.
You say
I didn't hear that bond amount.
15.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, are you Douglas Hopkins? Okay, all right, this is position 1, 23 CP 217506, Douglas Hopkins. He's charged with aggravated assault. It's 72 days without indictment. We don't have an officer. Miss Patton?
Aggravated stalking. not-
Aggravated stalking, excuse me,
Correct.
aggravated stalking, and we don't have an officer. Go ahead, Miss Patton.
Your Honor, we would ask for a reset on this. I do believe subpoenas were sent out, but I've been trying to see if I can locate officers, which I was able to get some here. This is a serious charge. We would ask for a reset, and 2 weeks from now, if available.
Ms. Pinto?
Judge, we're asking for a dismissal. Mr. Hopkins has been incarcerated on this charge 72 days. We have a very strong defense to the charge. And we were hoping to be able to assert that today and get it dismissed. So, there's no officer to show probable cause. It sounds like they were subpoenaed. We're not sure, but either way, Judge, it's the state's burden to show probable cause. And Mr. Hopkins, and they have not been able to do that today. This is the only case holding Mr. Hopkins in the Fulton County Jail. And we would ask for a dismissal for want of prosecution.
All right, and that officer's name is C. Do you know the first name?
It just says C. Richardson.
Okay, C. Richardson from APT. All right, I'll send an email. We'll do one-time reset only for an officer to appear. What's the date, Miss? Wait, you sent it to me. What was it?
July 5th at 9 a.m.
Are you here, Miss Pinto? Is that good? July 5th?
I could just check, Judge.
Okay,
Court's in session on the 5th.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine, Judge.
Okay, July 5th at 9 a.m. Sirs, we'll take up bond in your prelim. Best of luck to you. Thank you.
Well,
Miss-
Judge, could we be heard on bond today? He's no bonded. And we have a bond motion filed.
Okay. Let's see. Go ahead. Preach. Rah.
75 cycles. Everything that I'm reading is after 2000. He has 6 probation violations, 9 FTAs, appears to be on probation for burglary, 13 SC 120342. It was from 2013. It was 14 years, 6 months probation. 2017, 2014 theft by shoplifting conviction, 2011 forgery conviction, terroristic threats conviction, 2009, 2 counts. And then it was another case with 4 counts of terroristic threats in 2009 conviction, and then possession of cocaine in 2002.
All right. Ms. Pinto, looks like I signed the TPO that was allegedly violated February the 17th, 2023. It was a 12-month hearing. Go
Yes,
ahead.
Judge, and I assume you have the civil case pulled up. The TPO was signed on the February 17th. However, the only service in the system was February 16th.
Right.
So he was never actually served with the protective order signed February 17th.
Well, he was served the day before. It looks like, I guess he didn't appear. I don't know if he appeared at the hearing or didn't appear at the hearing. It looks like he may have appeared at the hearing. And when they're there at the hearing, I don't know how to look in here and see. Once they are, we email copies of the orders out.
So it's on the order. It said it was virtual. He appeared, and then
And then when I go on there, I say, all right, enter your email in the chat, and I sign the orders, and orders are emailed out to everybody. electronically, we served everybody like that.
Well, Judge, he was on he doesn't have a smartphone, so there were a lot of issues with okay. It's okay.
But I'll hear you on bond.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure.
Mr. Hopkins is 59 years old. He does have a good address here. Well, it's in Riverdale, 417 Valley Hill Road, apartment K8 in Riverdale. That's where he would reside with his father if released. He's lived in Georgia his entire life. He does have 2 children. They're grown. They're 36 and 34. He graduated from high school. He did serve in the Army for 3 years and was honorably discharged. He also has a good job working as a mechanic and a janitor at Twins Emission on Campbellton Road. And he just confirmed last week that job is still available to him. He does have some health issues that are posing concern for him in the jail. And we are asking for a reasonable bond for Mr. Hopkins today. As stated, he's been incarcerated 72 days with no bond. And we would ask for $5,000 total, Judge.
Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, the state would be requesting for this to remain in a no bond status. The defendant has 9 FTAs, multiple probation violations. That in itself poses as a risk of flight. There's also a significant risk of committing an additional felony while out on bond, as he has 75 cycles. There's also a danger to the victim in this case, being that a TPO was signed and he still showed up to the victim's address. We would ask that if you are inclined to set a bond, that it be only after the 91st day and that it be no less than $50,000. A stay away from the victim in this case, and an ankle monitor with 24-hour curfew with the exceptions of legal, medical, and basic life necessities.
All right, we'll just keep it in no bond status, and I'll see you back on July the 5th, and I'll address it then. That'll be Monday.
Thank you, Judge. Do I need to file? I guess I'll.
You don't need to. That's
No?
fine. Nah.
Okay.
We'll just do it.
All right. All right, we'll be back July 5th, right, Mr. Hopkins?
And now, Mr. Graham. Thank you, Ms. Pinto. Go ahead and start your long weekend.
Oh, I have one more, Judge.
Oh, I thought that was all 3.
I have position 4.
Oh, that one too. Okay. Well, you want to bring Mario Taylor? There's nobody
okay.
here for
Let me
Mario
just-
Taylor, right? Sorry, I'm taking care of these for the officers not here. And on that one, Ms. Pinto, it looks like there was there's a little red W, like there's a warrant outstanding on Mr. Hopkins. Maybe it's this one. Let's see.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, it says it's a probation violation in front of Judge Eaton, 6/14/2023.
Are they bringing Mario Taylor now?
Yes, since that
Okay.
officer's not here.
Mr. Taylor's in the wheelchair?
No, Mr. Grant is new.
Okay, so I'm sorry, which defendant are we doing?
Taylor, your last one. Yeah, sorry, I thought the other one was your last one. Looks like there's always,
Taylor, yeah.
right, looks
I
like
think they
there's,
were calling, bringing somebody else.
and looks like there's a Gwinnett County hold on Taylor.
There's a Gwinnett hold on him?
Yeah,
On who, Judge?
Taylor. That's Gwinnett SO.
What's the hold for?
This, yeah, it just says foreign warrant on here. I don't know. Oh, Taylor's not, you had to bring him up? Oh, okay, so then you want me to go ahead and take Graham? Okay, we'll go ahead and take Graham, because Taylor's downstairs. They'll bring him up. All right, officer, if you raise your right hand, do you swear firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, so it'll be Anthony Graham. You, Mr. Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is 23 CP 217585, Anthony Graham. 68 days without indictment, got ag assault, criminal damage to property in the second degree, and then 2 more counts of aggravated assault. Officer, if you raise your right hand, do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name, spell it for the court reporter, please?
Officer Keith Roach. That's first name Keith, Keith. Last name is Roach, Roach.
All right, I think this one has a $40,000 good bond as of 4/11. All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Hi, Officer Roach.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. Where are you currently employed?
Atlanta Police Department, Zone 5,
And how long have you been employed there?
17 years.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you post-certified on or about April 4th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you employed, going back a little bit, at Atlanta Police Department on or about April 4th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how did you become in contact with the defendant?
On that day, I responded to a fight call. I believe it was in a parking deck on 6th Street.
On 6th Street?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Do you have the address for that?
The address at the time, don't recall, but I want to say I believe it was in the 50s, 58 or 68, 6th Street.
Is that here in Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And you're looking down now. Can you please let the court know what you're looking down at?
This is the actual warrant.
Okay.
Mhm.
The affidavit for arrest.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay. You said you were called up there to a fight call. Did you arrive on scene?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what did you see?
When I arrived on scene, security as well as the arrest, the suspect, Mr. Anthony Graham, was actually laying on the ground when I arrived. I had 3 construction employees that were actually there on scene. They advised that they were attacked by Mr. Graham. So they advised that they parked in the parking deck. And while they were parked in the parking deck, Mr. Graham came into the parking deck, verbally attacking them, as well as throwing beer cans, items. He jumped on top of the construction vehicle, broke the strobe light. They attempted to first ask him to leave and stop. He refused. So he continued to attack them by swinging a stick at them. Their supervisor came on scene to deliver equipment, observed the incident as it was occurring, and she asked Mr. Graham to leave the property as well. He refused to leave. At the time, he picked up a brick and threw at the female supervisor, and then struck her with a stick. The 2 construction employees attempted to assist the female supervisor. At the time, Mr. Graham attacked them as well. All 3 construction employees were injured during that process. And the incident started inside the parking deck and ended outside of the parking deck. When I arrived, that's where they were actually placed at, outside of the parking deck.
Okay. You also stated when you arrived that the suspect or defendant in this case was on the ground. Was he face down, face up?
He was actually sitting in a seated position.
Oh, okay.
Seated up. And he had a leg injury and laceration to his head.
Did you call for EMS?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Was he bleeding?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Okay. And a leg injury, how do you know it was a leg injury?
His foot appeared to be twisted. Visually.
Twisted?
Yes.
Like 180 degrees twisted, or?
It wasn't in a normal position. It
looked off.
It looked off.
Okay.
Yes.
So you called for EMS?
Correct, yes.
Did they come out?
Yes, ma'am, they did.
Did they address any medical issues that Mr. Graham had at that time?
At the time, they looked at his leg or his leg, his foot, and advised that it appeared to be broken.
Okay.
And he had the laceration on his head. So at the time, they placed him into the ambulance to further treat him and transport him to Grady.
Okay. And did you ask Mr. Graham how he received those injuries?
Yes, ma'am. I attempted to gather information on an incident from Mr. Graham. Excuse my French, but he advised me basically, he said, "Fuck you," and I want an ambulance. That was it.
Didn't say anything else.
No, ma'am.
Okay. When you arrived on the scene, you said, I believe you said there were 3 construction workers
Correct.
present. What was their demeanor?
They were upset. They were actually, all 3 of them were injured. Mr. Fuller complained of leg injury from being struck in the leg with a stick. Mr. Pritchard had an injury to his hand, and the female supervisor, I believe is Miss Luster, she had complained of her rib cage was hurting from being struck by the stick.
Okay. Did you ever find the stick that they said had struck them?
Yes, ma'am. It was laying next to Mr. Graham.
Okay. And how big would you say it was?
Maybe about 3 feet long. Maybe.
Okay. And how, and you may not know, how thick in diameter was the stick?
Maybe about the thickness of a baseball bat, possibly.
Okay. So a large
Yes.
stick. Okay. Did they state to you specifically why Mr. Graham had attacked them?
They couldn't say why he attacked them. He basically just came out of nowhere. They asked him what was going on with him, but Mr. Graham didn't say anything. Did just verbally cursing and yelling at him out of the blue.
Did he threaten them?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what threat did he give to them?
Can't recall exactly verbatim what he stated, but he stated that he was going to, excuse my French again, but fuck them up, basically.
Was Mr. Graham, did anyone, excuse me, let me go back. Did anyone ever indicate to you that they knew Mr. Graham?
They all advised that they didn't know.
Did they state he was an employee or?
No, ma'am. He was an employee. They advised basically that he was a stranger. They had no idea who he was.
Okay. Did they ever advise you as to why he had even come on to this location?
They were confused on why he was even there.
Okay. So I think you said it was a parking deck. Is that correct?
It was a parking garage. They were actually on the, I want to say, first or lower level of the garage, and they were the only 2 vehicles on that whole level.
Okay. So is this an active construction zone, or is this like a fully built parking garage?
It was not a construction zone, to my knowledge at all. It was just a parking garage.
Okay. What were they doing there?
The employees, the 2 male employees, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Pritchard, were standing by for their supervisor to bring them, I believe, equipment.
Okay. You mentioned earlier, you said a brick and a stick. So how was, I think you clarified how the stick was used. How was the brick used?
Miss Luster stated that when she arrived, she observed Mr. Graham attacking her employees, and she started to yell and basically telling him to leave the location. And at the time, he took the brick from wherever he got it from and he threw it at her.
Was she outside of her vehicle when he threw it?
Yes, ma'am, she was.
Okay. Did she state to you that he stated anything while he threw the brick?
She stated that he said that he didn't care if she was a female before he actually struck her with the stick.
I said stick. Brick or stick?
Well, actually both, because he threw the brick at her first.
Okay.
And he stated that he did not he didn't care if she was a female before he struck her with a stick.
Okay, and all three of them, Mr. Pritchett, Miss Lester, and forgive me, I forgot the other person's name you mentioned. They all observed this incident happening with each of them being hit with a stick and a brick being thrown.
Yes, ma'am. They were all involved.
Did you talk to them individually?
Yes, ma'am.
And we went over what you talked about with Miss Lester. What did you speak to about with Mr. Pritchett?
Mr. Pritchett?
Yeah.
Mr. Pritchett was one of the other male construction workers. He was actually, I guess, the driver operator of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
He advised that Mr. Graham, during the altercation when he came up, during the process, jumped on top of the work vehicle and kicked and broke the the emergency strobe lights on top of the vehicle.
So he jumped on the hood of the car or the top of the car?
The actual top of the car where the emergency strobe lights are.
Okay.
He jumped on the hood and the top of the vehicle.
Did he damage that?
Yes, he broke them.
Okay. And what type of car was this?
They were both two pickup trucks.
Okay, so like flatbeds?
Construction pickup trucks.
Okay.
Mhm.
And did you ever ask about the damage to the strobe lights?
Yes, ma'am. They were broken to the point where they're no longer operational.
Did you ask them how much it would be to repair that?
I did at the time, but I don't recall exactly what the amount.
If you had it in your report, would looking at it refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have your report in front of you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Do you have your affidavits for arrest in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you can take a look at it and refresh your memory, but then you need to testify and not read from it.
Okay.
It's the warrant ending in 487.
The damage exceeded 500.
And you got that from your conversation with Mr. Pritchard. I'm sorry, I've been mispronouncing it this whole time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said what kind of lights did you call them on top of the vehicle?
The emergency strobe lights.
Okay. Like on police cars, like the same thing?
Yes, but different color.
Okay. So, did you see Mr. Graham on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you recognize him today?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he in the courtroom presently? You might need to stand.
It's the gentleman sitting down with the navy blue scrubs on.
And you say that into the microphone so the court reporter will hear you.
It's a gentleman sitting down with the navy blue scrubs on.
Anything else identifying about him?
And he's currently sitting in a wheelchair.
Okay. Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Anthony Graham.
All right, record will so reflect.
Okay, Mr. Graham, did you do the arrest on Mr. Graham?
Yes, I did.
Did you read him his Miranda warnings?
No, ma'am.
Did you question him after he was arrested?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And was your body camera on and working at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it submitted for evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Graham was charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. What were the probable cause basis for those 3 counts?
All 3 of the victims actually, their reports, as well as there was a security officer at the location that also observed some of the incident towards the end where Mr. Graham actually, where his lane point was. All the information given from the victims and the weapon that was actually used in the incident.
Okay. Mr. Graham has also been charged with criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. What was the probable cause basis for that charge?
The damage was for the damage to the construction vehicles.
Okay. You mentioned there was a security officer there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what did he tell you he witnessed?
The security officer witnessed the endpoint where Mr. Graham actually came out of the garage and basically where he was actually sitting at his point of rest, and he advised that he was given the information from the construction employees. He observed where the vehicle was and stated that he's dealt with Mr. Graham prior to this, I guess, incident situation. And Mr. Graham's verbal demeanor and aggression basically stating that the incident did occur.
Okay. And did he physically identify Mr. Graham to you?
Yes.
Okay. With the description or by pointing?
With the, not by name, but by description and pointing out exactly where he was and what happened.
Okay. Is there anything else you learned during this investigation that we've not covered here today?
That Mr. Graham had a history of harassment, I guess, in the area. To my knowledge, I hadn't personally dealt with Mr. Graham prior to, but it was just what was given to me by security.
Okay. Were the police called in those other incidents?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further.
Carl?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, officer.
Morning, sir.
911 was called in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who called 911?
I'm sorry?
Who called 911?
The actual construction workers.
Okay. When you were dispatched, do you recall what dispatch told you?
Dispatch, I was dispatched to a fight call at the location.
Did they advise any weapons on your when you were en route?
No.
Okay. When you arrived, were there any other law enforcement that were involved in this situation?
There were a couple more officers that were there prior to my arrival, yes.
Okay. You were the lead in this case, correct?
Yes.
Oh, can I ask why that was, or was there any reason for that?
Why I was the lead?
Yes.
I was the actual officer that was dispatched to the call.
I see. Okay. Your body camera was on and activated.
Yes, sir.
Did any of the other officers have to write any reports or supplements in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you recall their names? I'm not trying to pop quiz you, but if you can recall.
Lieutenant Turnin was working part-time. He was there, I believe. Well, no, he was definitely there. And there was another officer, I think his last name is Donato or Dosato.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that a lot. This incident is 58th 6th Street?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
The actual
It
incident.
has two sides to it.
Oh, okay. It's a parking deck that's connected basically or inside of a residential complex. Is that right?
It's outside of the complex. It has two entrances. One entrance is off of a Peachtree. It's behind a CVS.
Okay. We're talking about the parking deck specifically, right?
Yes.
Parking deck abuts, I guess, with the residential area, the place where people live.
The backside of it does. Yeah.
Backside does. Okay. Front side of stores.
So
you said CVS?
I entered in on the residential side and came out on the CVS side. Yes.
Okay. Are there any surveillance footage cameras inside the parking deck?
Their security advised that there were some cameras in the area, but we were unable to review them at the time of the incident.
Okay, and do you have any further or information as to why it was unable to be reviewed at that time?
Due to the circumstances and injuries, had to relocate to Grady Hospital.
Okay. To your knowledge, has there been any follow-up by a detective or anyone else as to any video camera footage being collected?
I'm not sure exactly where the investigators are at on the investigation at this current time.
Okay. Let me ask this. This deck is a parking deck. It has multiple levels?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what level specifically this incident occurred?
I want to say it's the first. I want to say it's the first level. Of course, when you actually enter in, I had to go down. I had to walk down steps one level. So I'm not sure if that's level 1 or level 2.
Okay. So you come in street level, you have to go down steps.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. If you can recall, are there cameras pointed at the location where this fight allegedly occurred?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you spoke with security, did you discuss anything about the camera footage?
Yes, he advised me that there's cameras in the area, but I wasn't able to view them at the time.
Okay. The folks that are listed in the warrant as victims,
yes,
they advised that this was unprovoked, this incident.
Yes.
What was their purpose for being there that day?
The 2 construction workers were at the location waiting for their supervisor to bring equipment.
Were they working on a project in the parking deck?
I'm not sure exactly what their project consists of or exactly where.
Okay. They advised that when they first make contact, that there's just unreasonable screaming.
They were actually sitting in their vehicle where when Mr. Graham approached them.
Did anyone advise to you that the basis for the approach to the vehicle was that Mr. Graham was almost hit by the vehicle?
No, they were sitting stationary at the lower level of the garage, waiting for their supervisor to actually arrive when Mr. Graham walked up, because there were only 2 vehicles in the garage. There were no other, well, on that level, I'm sorry. There were no other vehicles on that level.
Okay. They weren't parked there overnight. They came from the street to get to the lower level?
Yes, when you first pull in, yes.
Okay. And no one can verify at this time that Mr. Graham was almost hit when they were driving into the parking deck or through the parking deck?
They weren't driving, they were stationary.
When they were getting to their parking spot, they had to drive physically to that parking spot?
Yes.
Okay. In that drive-through, there's no mention of anyone that Mr. Graham was almost hit by a vehicle.
No.
No one has said that to you.
No.
Is that okay?
No, sir.
Fair enough. The camera footage is not viewed at this time, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. And neither person parked in the vehicle mentioned that they almost hit any individual when they were driving to their parking spot?
No, sir.
Okay. So they advised that all of a sudden a strange man came up and started just fussing at them. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. They gave no other reason for why someone would just randomly do that in a parking deck?
All of them were confused on exactly why Mr. Graham attacked them.
Okay. This is a situation where you had to go to Grady for Mr. Graham's injuries, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did any of the other folks that you've discussed, the listed victims, complaining witnesses in the case, did any of them need hospitalization?
They were all checked for their injuries there at the scene.
And did any of them get on EMS?
No, sir. Not sure if another EMS arrived for them, but to my knowledge, they didn't get in that EMS and they weren't transported at the time.
They weren't transported. Yeah, fair enough. I know you had to leave for transport. So no one else's leg was broken?
No.
Just Mr. Graham's?
Yes.
You saw the gash on his head?
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone advise how Mr. Graham's leg was broken?
It was speculation on how it got to the condition it was actually at.
Yeah.
Because EMS basically said that, I guess, maybe applying the pressure, trying to flee from the location in a condition.
Okay.
It twisted or broke it more. I'm not sure. I can't really say.
No one saw the fight except the folks that were there, right? You came after
Correct.
the fight occurred,
Correct.
right? Then no one's saying that Mr. Graham's leg was broken as he's going up to a random truck of individuals, right?
No.
Everyone agrees that the leg was broken during the melee, right?
Correct.
The gash, were you able to determine who caused the gash on the head?
No.
Okay. The only two items that we've discussed today, one's a brick, right?
It's a brick was involved, the stick was involved,
Right.
and I want to say a glass bottle or beer.
Okay. Did a bottle ever hit anyone?
I'm not sure if it actually struck anyone.
Okay. Was the bottle recovered for evidence?
The bottle was not, no.
Okay, bottle was not. Was the brick recovered for evidence?
No.
The allegation is brick hit rib cage of one of the complaining witnesses, right?
Negative.
Oh,
The stick was used. He threw a brick at the female supervisor.
did not make contact.
Correct.
Gotcha. Stick hit female supervisor.
Correct.
Okay. Stick hit Mr. Graham?
I'm sorry?
Did the stick hit Mr. Graham?
Did the stick hit Mr. Graham?
Yes. Did anyone hit?
Mr. Graham used the stick to hit the female supervisor.
I gotcha. I guess what I'm saying is there's a gash on only one person, right?
Not sure exactly when that part actually occurred.
Okay. Was it fresh and bleeding when you arrived?
Yes.
Okay. Was there blood on the stick?
I don't recall.
Was the stick collected?
No.
Okay, stick was not collected. Would the stick be visible in your body camera footage?
Be honest, I'm not sure. I have to review the footage.
Fair enough. Did anyone advise how the cut happened?
No.
Okay.
They were, I mean, at the time when Mr. Graham actually started to attack the female supervisor, they went to assist and they all got into a fight or scuffle at the time. So I'm not sure exactly when, who received what at that point.
Yeah, I would understand that. 3 against 1. Am I right?
Yes.
4 against 1.
3.
3. Okay. And when you arrived, you said that Mr. Graham was ultimately sitting on the ground, right?
Yes.
He was not capable of mobility on his own at that time?
No.
Okay. I think you had mentioned during direct that in between the altercation, Mr. Graham had left at some point, came back. Is that right?
No, I was advised that while they were in the garage, Mr. Graham came into the garage. Then during the incident, somehow it ended up outside the garage or up on the next level, up the stairs.
Street level?
Basically, yes.
Basically. So when you drive in, you can see them, right? When you drive in?
Actually, when you first pull into the garage, I guess you have to go down a level. You can look down the stairs and see exactly where the two vehicles are at, but you have to drive around down one level to get to it.
I gotcha. When you got to Grady, did Grady advise that Mr. Graham required stitches?
They advised that, well, yes, he needed stitches for his head, and they advised that his leg was broke.
Okay. And last couple, I appreciate you a lot, officer. The criminal damages for the strobe lights on top of the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
The value given, what was the basis for that? Who gave you that value for the strobe light?
The employees, the workers, and the supervisor.
Okay. And is it something that attaches on top of their vehicle with suction cups? If you were able to notice that?
No, it's actually secured to the top of it.
Oh, it's secured to the top. Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions.
All right, redirect.
Yes, just two questions. You testified with Mr. Cho that Mr. Graham had injuries, laceration specifically on his head. And I know you mentioned it to me, but did you ask Mr. Graham about those injuries?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And his response was?
Fuck you.
Okay. You also testified that Mr. Graham damaged the top of the vehicle. Did anyone witness him climb up onto it?
They all did.
Okay. Did they indicate to you how he got down?
No, I guess he just jumped down.
Okay. All right. Nothing further.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Cho?
Very quickly.
Okay.
I understand that there was some cursing involved. When that occurred, Mr. Graham's leg was broken, right?
I'm not sure.
When you arrived, that's when you spoke with him, right?
When I arrived, that's when I spoke to Mr. Graham. Yes, sir.
And then, it was determined later his leg was broken, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did he indicate he was in a lot of pain?
Yes, sir. You did.
All right. Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything else?
Nothing.
All right, thank you, officer. Stay safe. All right, argument.
Judge, I'm just gonna say this, and I appreciate the court's indulgence. 3-on-1, and I find it very hard to believe that there wasn't any kind of possible provocation in this case. I think the video would be very dispositive to help us all understand what actually possibly started this. Unfortunately, I don't think we have it. Long and short, Judge, looks like everyone was checked out. Looks like everyone was injured, but it looks like Mr. Graham was the one hospitalized. Broken leg is not, that is a very serious injury, very serious. And a gash so deep it required stitches, stick not recovered. And I don't know. I would just say it like this, Judge. If there was some kind of retaliation, it seems to have been a bit excessive. I wasn't there, of course. Judge, would ask the court to consider finding no probable cause. We'll defer to the court. Nothing further.
Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask that you do find probable cause for all 4 charges here. The witness has identified and testified to the fact that, one, Mr. Graham is a defendant in this case. There was also testimony regarding the fact that Mr. Graham took a stick. I think they described it as 3 feet and pretty standard baseball bat size that caused some injuries, which the witness testified to that as well, to all 3 parties. And as such, there's definitely been a probable cause basis for the aggravated assault charges ×3. For the criminal damage to property, witness testified to the fact that the sirens on the top of the car were damaged and that they would be in excess of $500. I'm not sure where the gash on needing stitches came from, because I didn't hear the witness testify to any of that at all, actually. The state would just ask that you find probable cause on all 4 charges as to the defendant.
All right. I found probable cause on all 4 counts. Bond was addressed on 411, but we can address it again. Pre-trial.
7 cycles, 3 FTAs, 4 probation violations, appears to be on two probations, 22 SC 184080 and 22 SC 185355, both for public indecency from January of this year, 4 years, 6 months probation. Terroristic threats conviction, 2022, willful obstruction, 2016, financial identity fraud, 2008, forgery, 2005, and possession of a controlled substance, 2005, and nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Officer Roberts, anything violent?
Just the terroristic threats from 2022, that will be the only violent conviction.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. You said public indecency, 2 counts of that?
Wait, the answer to Mr. Cho question was terroristic threats with only violent. And yes, the answer to your question, 2 active probations, both for public indecency.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, there is a bond in this case. There's a bond hearing scheduled for August 3rd. I don't see any probation holds on Mr. Graham. And the only violent accusation or conviction it appears to be is a terroristic threat, which is a verbal. Well, court knows the law. It's verbal, it's not physical. Judge, I don't think there's going to be any kind of bond that Mr. Graham can afford in this case. I understand that the allegations are serious. I would just argue that it's a wash based on Mr. Graham's injuries and based on the fact that the court can take judicial notice today that he is in a wheelchair as we speak. As far as address, Judge, we are working on it. Currently, the court can see the address on file in Odyssey. It is
Cortland?
yes, thank you. So that is an issue. He can live with his brother, but we don't have a number yet for him, that being the brother. And just as far as Ayala, Your Honor, 52 years old, born and raised in Georgia, whole family in Georgia, 3 adult children, not married, high school graduate, was working at a temporary warehouse through a temp service. Judge, I'm just going to say it like this. This is an interesting case. There are heavy injuries involved, and Mr. Graham is 51. If Mr. Graham was 51 with 3 egg assaults, an ag battery, 2 family violence batteries, that would be one thing. It's my position that something else occurred which provoked this, and when it was said and done, it was 3 against 1, and they got the better of him, and he's the one in the wheelchair now. I will also say that it's my recollection, and I apologize if I'm incorrect, but it's my recollection that the officer was told at Grady that the gash did require stitches. So we're in a rock and a hard place, Judge. I understand he could be a nuisance in Midtown, and it's not, necessarily desirable, but it does not appear, based on Mr. Graham's history, that he's that kind of individual generally. So I don't have anything further. We'd ask the court to consider reduction. We'll defer to the court.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this defendant has received a bond. The state would ask that the bond not be lowered. This defendant does have multiple FTAs and multiple probation violations. He also currently was on probation and has now found himself with 3 violent charges. That being said, we believe there's a flight risk to the defendant and a significant likelihood to reoffend. We ask that you not lower the bond in this matter. If Your Honor is inclined to lower it, we ask that it be no lower than $30,000 in total.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 58 6th Street Northeast. No further contact with Kalenda, Kalenda, Luster, Luster, Marlon Pritchard, Pritchard, and Joe Fuller. Must provide an address upon release. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. $8,000 per count. Best of luck to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Your Honor, I did receive a request from my investigator, position 7, wanting to know if his hearing can be pushed to 1 PM. Position 7 is,
Let's see, we'll wait because that's Mr. Cho. I don't know. He's not on the calendar. I don't know if he can wait till 1 or if he had,
okay.
yes, because it's just Miss Cole and I think it's Miss Cole is handling your other case, right, Miss Penn? No, that's Miss Beck. Sorry. Miss Cole and Miss Beck has one. Since the long weekend, I don't know if people like are headed out of town.
Oh, must be nice.
Huh?
It must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm working, but. Do you have to work Saturday too, Miss Pinto?
I do not.
You headed out of town?
Sorry?
You headed out of town or just relax for the week?
No, my dad's actually, he's usually not here for Father's Day, but he's here, so we're just doing that.
Awesome. That's awesome.
What about Monday? Are you working Monday?
No, wait, we're off.
Yeah, it's hot.
Oh, it's first appearance.
I don't have Monday.
Ah,
You haven't?
no.
You did though, didn't you?
I'm gonna attribute you as to why I don't have it because I definitely name dropped. I was like, well, Judge Manning said, why should I have to do that? I did it Memorial Day. But it worked. They were like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
So we got the other people are, oh, go ahead. So Mr. Cho, the investigator wanted to know, and I told her I didn't know, I mean, because you're here on position 7, Aurelius Conaway. I guess they want to know if you wanted to go at 1 o'clock, but I said, you're not on a calendar. And he'd already got Miss Cole to fill in. So, yeah, I don't know if you had plans to go out of town. I'm not going to make you stay if you already had, I mean, it could just be reset if it has to be.
Needs to, I would usually just accommodate, but I do have.
Yeah, I know it is a long weekend. Everybody's going out. Investigator Paul, is you on there?
Yes, Your Honor, I am. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, since it's a long weekend and Father's Day weekend and stuff like that. I know Mr. Cho had already, we've only got 2 unlucky folks, well, besides us, that are going to be here at 1 o'clock. It's Miss Cole, Miss Beck, Mr. Cho, and Miss Pinto are all going to kind of cut out. So I'm not going to make either one of them stay, but we'll reset that one, I guess, if it has to be. They're not even in here. The deputies.
Oh, they're getting Mr. Mario Taylor.
Yeah. So on the Aurelius Conaway,
That's you.
is that officer on a vacation or anything?
You're
We'll
not
bring
Mr.
your
So,
Smith.
Your Honor, I'm thinking he might be in court, but he was on, I thought he might have been on his off days. He came back, he rushed to the court, and he should be either in the court or in the hallway.
Oh,
Check the hallway.
okay, we can check the hallway.
We have the officer for Taylor.
I got a message saying they were on the way. But let me check the hallway for that too.
Are there any other officers in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Officer Parker for Robert's call. I can get it better.
Just, yeah, he's the last one.
It should be Bren though, right? Is that Officer Bren? Brin?
What's your name? Who? Parker? Oh, it's Parker. In which case you here for again?
Carl Roberts.
Yeah, he's here for Roberts.
So great.
He's here for which case?
This is for the one that I asked to be reset to 1 PM.
Oh, okay.
Position 7.
All right. So the officer's not here for Mario Taylor. Anything on that one, Investigator Pauls, for position 4, Mario Taylor?
Okay, let me see.
That
That was Sergeant Donnie Smith. He said that you guys told him to come back at 1.
No, he told me he was here for Mr. Paul.
No.
He said he was here.
He said he was here for Mooten Paul,
Yeah, he said he was here for Paul Mooten.
which is why I said to come back at 1.
No, he's here. Sergeant Smith is here for position 4. That's Donnie Smith. He's here for Mario Taylor.
I guarantee you he's not here now. We told him.
No, he's not.
No,
'cause he
no,
said
no,
he-
no, and Paul Mouton. He's got 2 cases.
Okay, he did not mention the first one.
Yes, ma'am.
He just mentioned Mooten.
Yes, ma'am. And I can understand it's a little bit mixed up today because all the officers, fathers, they all, but Donnie Smith, he has 2 cases. He called me. He said that he was told to come back at 1 and he'll be back at 1.
Sorry, Miss Pinto. You heard him when he come in, Miss Pinto. He only mentioned the one case. He just said that Wooten or Mooten, and he didn't even say Mario Taylor.
And Mr. The officer that's standing beside the prosecutor, he has been calling. He came from the airport, rushed and put on his clothes to get here.
I'm glad you came with clothes on, officer.
All the clothes. I had to come to
Your
court.
uniform. Yeah.
I had to let my supervisors know to clock me in,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was if you.
but I was like, I want to come to court.
If you had not been in a uniform, it's okay. I understand. I appreciate you being here.
I definitely was not intending on missing court. I was visiting family, and I got the notice when I was up there, but I don't check, my emails and stuff when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
So literally my phone started blowing up on the plane. Like, when you come to court, I'm like, I don't know if I could tell the pilot to hurry up, but
You take over and start flying. No, you didn't have to change in your uniform. I get it. Some people are on vacation. It's summertime.
That would be the honest issue, but if it's really not like that, it's for.
Do you want to hear one? Ms. Pinto?
Possibly. I'm trying to, this officer did leave, I was trying to see if I could work with Ms. Pinto to see if you could get the consent. Cause it's.
Y'all could probably get a consent on the rest if you wanted to. Let me see what's on the, there's no pretrial report. Did me tell her to give you the history, Ms. Pinto? Do y'all want to hear it? Do y'all want to hear the pretrial report on Taylor? Why y'all?
I have it, but.
Oh, you do? Okay. Oh, yeah, you do have it. Sorry, you ran it. Sorry, I didn't know you had it with you.
Okay, Your Honor, we might have reached an agreement, but she does need to speak to our client first regarding Mario Taylor.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talk to Mr. Cho about his? He's a good negotiator.
Which one are you?
They're both, so we have 2 more prelims.
Yeah.
Willful obstruction and theft by shoplifting felony. What are the bonds on them?
7, let's see. That is, there's a 30,000. So it's 50, wait a minute. Why does this have 3 charged?
Give me a sign this.
Oh, no, okay, it's 15,000 a piece, sorry. On Conaway, it's 15,000 a piece. That was said in April 4th. Nobody else heard that but me?
I did.
Okay, that's where it's kind of weird.
I heard it, April 4th. So I did.
Yeah, and let's see, number 5, there's number 5, there's no bond on Carl Roberts.
We don't want you to not testify, that's out.
So it turns out we don't need a request to push this to 1. But I will happily pre-try with Mr. Cho to see.
On which one are you talking about?
Position 7, Aurelius.
Right, okay, yeah.
Highway.
He's the one that's got the 30,000 already.
And
Ms.
but,
Pinto's gonna talk to her client.
um,
Ms. Pinto, if you work something out, is it gonna be a waiver?
If he wants it, yes, Judge.
Okay. I think all our waiver forms are in the other. I don't think there's any in here. Maria.
Roberts, so
I didn't.
I can go. Is it for which one?
If it may be Ms. Pinto's, we don't know, but they may wait. Ms. Pinto's may wait.
It's position.
Email
4,
one.
Mary Taylor.
I'll
Oh, she-
email one to Ambria, Ms. Watts.
What time is it now? 12:06?
Oh, what?
Yes, 12:07.
Add it by 1.
If it was, I don't think it would work.
Okay, we're gonna have to go ahead with Officer Parker on position 5. He's gotta pick his son up at 1. It's 12:06 now.
He's got a who?
He's gotta pick his son up.
Oh, I thought you and were gonna talk, you and Mr. Cho were gonna negotiate, but
I am, but I would rather get through this hearing first, because I know I'm not negotiating on that
Yeah.
one.
we can.
So at least I.
As soon as the deputies, they had to go get
Okay, so we
somebody.
can at least get him to
Mhm.
pick up his son from school, because I don't want to. On Father's Day weekend and that. This is what you said, right? It's in Gwinnett.
Yes.
And you know, obviously like the normal, like, COA.
Yeah.
Single monitor, which usually doesn't, and that's the one that's a car, huh? Mhm. You guys gotta be saying that. Okay, so. We're gonna talk about, okay, position 7, while we're waiting on the deputies.
Oh, I'm tired.
Ditto. Okay.
Come on up, officer, you have a seat.
Do we have a way with that?
So Ms. Hollenbeck said she would, is there something going on in 1A? Do y'all know?
They kicked me out as soon as I walked in.
I think they're doing presiding more. I don't know if they're still doing it.
If you glance in there, if there's nothing, because they're, up on the corner where I set them over there, and you can just reach over and grab them. Yeah,
I
on that
just sent
corner, yeah.
it to Ms. Watts.
Hey, is anything still going on in 1A? Okay, what'd you say, Ms. Hollenbeck?
I sent one to Ms. Watts.
Yeah, but we don't have a printer.
We need to
Oh,
call Roberts.
Yeah, is this Carl Roberts? Yeah, if there's nothing going on, Ms. Pinto, so on that bench, it's over there on the right-hand side.
This isn't Carl Roberts.
Okay, can we get Carl Roberts? Who is this?
This is Mario.
Who?
Mario.
Oh, he needed to talk.
Oh, yeah, Mario Taylor. Miss, you want to talk to him real?
Miss Pinto.
Yeah.
No, that's not Mario Taylor.
What's your name?
Mario Taylor.
He says he's Mario Taylor. Is he not the Mario Taylor?
Yeah, approach, Your Honor.
Sure.
There must be two.
That's.
Oh, you're definitely not that one. That's an older guy.
That's why Ms. Pinto was looking. Like, I have a lot of clients, but.
Yeah, because he was in Judge's tank.
All right, Carl Roberts. Yeah, that's definitely not, because he was way too young.
Way too young. Totally different complexion too.
Well, she was gonna check and see, yeah. I think, yeah, she went to look and see. I mean, I guess you could get some too, but. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter if they don't have the real Mario Taylor here. Did you want me to prelim for him? Well,
She can't waive it, yeah. She can't.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, it's a common name.
I'm working Saturday. It's okay. You know, I had a commitment,
But I have to pick up with it at some point, so I'll do this in like 5 minutes. It says, it just says Asian something, it's hibachi.
Oh, I'm starving. I wish I knew.
So I ordered some. Yeah, and-
y'all are gonna go straight through.
Huh?
Y'all are gonna go straight through.
I know. Because I'm hungry. That's why.
Of course, like, it's just that.
Any other time it doesn't happen.
I gotta have one of my fellows pick it up, although Miss Willis let all the fathers out at noon today.
Who did?
Miss Willis.
Oh, yeah.
Judge,
Yes.
Judge and court, the position, the officer on position 1, that's Sergeant Richardson.
We already reset that one.
Okay, that was the question. I'll let the custodian know.
Yeah, we reset it for July the 5th.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure. No, today's the only day I didn't. I'll give you my credit card if you want to go to Subway.
Are we gonna run through?
I know, we'll try to take a little bit of a break. I don't want to keep a lot of people. I know a lot of people are headed out of town. I don't know what people. You want my credit card and go to Subway? Mhm.
You said on the record, so.
What's your tag number again? And then if we have to, if everybody's got it, we can just take a break and eat. We will. Let's see. I should probably text it to you because you ain't gonna be able to read the handwriting. Let's see.
Okay, hard out by 1:15, but really 1.
That's one.
Does they get him? Did you get that embryo?
How close is the school?
It's well, it's yeah.
Get you something too. From Subway. Not right. But then just come in the back door. Yeah, might as well. So, because I don't know, right now there may be people, I think there's a couple of juries, maybe, yeah.
Maybe, do you have your badge? I like my card. Could you email that waiver to Attorney Cho and then I'll print it? Okay.
Are you gonna go see him if he's not here, Miss Pinto? Because he's not the real Mario.
Oh, we don't have him at all?
I
I
don't-
thought there were 2 of them.
There's obviously 2 and they brought the wrong one. I don't think they brought the other.
When I searched the jail booking.
Did you guys bring the other Mario or just that one was the only Mario? Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh.
We got Mario Marcus Taylor.
Okay, so y'all only brought the one Mario. Okay, you can bring this guy out. Carl Roberts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Pinto.
Cho, you gotta.
Oh, it was for the wheelchair case. Yeah.
So
I know, I mean, Judge, can we just go ahead and reset that one?
we can. Are you okay with that same date?
That's fine.
July 5th at 9 a.m.? So number 4, it's reset to July 5th at 9 a.m. Mario Taylor. Yes, ma'am. Have a good week. All right. This is position 5, 23 CP 217574, 68 days without indictment, aggravated battery. Officer, raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. All right. If you speak up in the microphone, state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
spelled DESMOND.
I can't, his mic is not on. I can't hear him.
I turned his mic off.
Oh, hold on. Put that button so it turns green.
Okay.
Go ahead, say it again.
Officer Desmond Parker, DESMOND, last name Parker, PARKER.
Okay. So, Mr. Roberts, that's a hot mic and you are whispering very loudly. Go ahead, Miss Patton.
Alrighty. Hi, Officer Parker. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. All right, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's rock. Where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department,
And how long have you been employed there?
3 years.
And were you employed there on or about April 10th, 2023?
Yes,
And are you post-certified?
yes.
And were you post-certified at the time? I'm sorry, Mr. Cho, I can hear everything.
Yeah, Mr. Roberts.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just be cool. Go ahead, Miss Patton.
Were you post-certified on or about April 10th, 2023?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come in contact with the defendant?
So once I arrived to the scene, I got out of my police car and I noticed the male was laying on the ground or whatever the case may be. Went up to him, checked on him to see if he was okay. He was unconscious at the time. I came in contact with him because I guess the 911 call, which was living at the house at 1460, I think it was 1469 BDF, said that the male had walked up the street. So got in the patrol car, went up the street, made contact with him, brought him back down, talked to him about the situation or whatever the case may be. He notified me that he had punched the subject in the face about 3 times, which caused the subject to be unconscious.
Okay, so let's scroll back here. You were dispatched to 1469 BD Ave, correct?
Correct.
Is that here in Fulton County?
Yes.
And when you arrived there, you found a male laying on the ground.
Yes.
And who was that male?
That was Mr. Jason Wall.
Okay, and you're looking down here. Please let the court know what you're looking down at.
Arrest warrant.
Okay. Mr. Wall, you said he was unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call for EMS help?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you try to revive him at any point?
We tried to, but he was completely out of it. Like he was like unconscious, wasn't able to communicate anything.
Okay. And by we, who do you mean?
Myself and another officer.
Okay. And what was the other officer's name?
Officer Wynn.
Okay. So you said you were dispatched to 1469 BD Ave in reference to a dispute. You also just stated that you went to go find a suspect. What information did you get that led you to do that?
So the caller, the 911 caller that was standing on the porch, she said that the male had, I guess, went up the street, started walking back up the street. So that's when I got in the patrol car and drove up the street to get said subject.
Was there a physical description of?
Yes, I believe so. I believe there was.
Okay.
I can't 100% recall that, but I believe 100%. I believe there was.
Okay. So you drive up the street and you see a male walking?
Correct.
Did you stop and communicate with him?
The defendant, yes.
Okay. And what did you say to him?
I just asked him about what happened, what's going on down there, because he was walking away from where the location was that he was at, which is actually the victim's home. He walked away from there and started, I guess he was getting ready to walk back home or wherever the case may be.
And what did he indicate to you?
He just stated that him and the other individual had gotten into an altercation over, I guess, repairs over cars.
Did he indicate to you that he had struck anyone?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he say he did?
He stated that he struck the male 3 times in the face.
Did he indicate to you what happened after he struck him in the face?
Walked off.
He walked off from you?
Yeah. No, he didn't walk off from me. He walked off from the location.
Okay. Understood. And at that time, how far are you away from the initial place you saw the victim laying down to where you actually spoke to the suspect?
Probably, I would say maybe about 50 yards, maybe.
Okay. Did you walk to this?
Oh, did I walk to him?
Yes.
No, I rode to him, and then I believe I walked back to to the location with him.
Okay, so you're in walking distance. So even though you rode the first time, you walked back.
Walk back, right?
Okay. Did he indicate to you as to what the argument was about? I know you said vehicle repairs, but anything specific?
Right. So Mr. John Wall was, I guess, doing repairs for the defendant. The defendant, I guess, one of his friends or whatever the case may be. And I guess they got into a verbal altercation at the gas station at 1341 Metropolitan Parkway. And I guess the male walked, I guess they got into a verbal altercation. He walked away and he followed him to his home, his house of residence.
Who followed who?
The defendant followed the defendant. Yeah, right. The defendant followed the victim to his home at 1469 BD.
And is this gas station, is that in Fulton County?
Yes.
Okay. Did he indicate to you that the victim at any time hit him back?
No.
Did he indicate to you that the victim had hit him first?
No.
Okay. Were you ever able to get the victim conscious? And I'm saying you, I mean you or EMS.
Yeah, EMS eventually. Well, by the time we got the defendant, brought him back, and they was still looking at him, make sure he was okay. People around was just trying to make sure he was okay. EMS had, as soon as we got back, EMS and fire had arrived on scene and started treating the male, and we was able to get him up and get him into the the EMS van.
Did you ever speak to the victim?
Yeah, I did. I was able to speak to him once
Okay.
he was actually inside the EMS.
And what did he indicate to you?
He indicated that he was doing some work for the defendant and didn't receive payment for the work that he was getting done for him.
Did he ever indicate to you that the victim, or that the defendant had struck him?
Yes.
Okay, and did he identify him physically? Did he describe him? How did he do that?
He just, I can't recall that part. But he, like, they were both talking about the exact same thing on how the male struck him and that sort of thing. But I can't recall if
he pointed him out or
right.
Okay. Did he indicate to you that he had struck the defendant in any way?
I'm sorry, repeat that for me one more time.
Did the victim ever indicate to you that he had struck the defendant?
Yes.
He said he did strike the defendant.
Yes.
Did he say where he hit him?
Well, yeah, he didn't say exactly where, but I mean, he said it just happened. I mean, it's in front of the location.
So this was an active fight.
Correct.
Okay. And did you observe any injuries to the victim, Mr. Wall?
Yes.
What injuries did you observe?
He had a swollen shut, if I can recall, I believe it was the right eye. And he had swelling under the eye as well.
Did you need to take a look at your report to refresh your memory?
Yep, sorry. Swollen left eye. Sorry about that.
Okay, and you said swollen. And you said shut, I think?
Correct.
So you weren't able to see any white of his eye out of that?
No, at all. You weren't able to see his eye at all.
So it was swollen?
Swollen, like the whole eye.
You also mentioned that he was unconscious. Other than being unconscious and having the left eye swollen shut, were there any other injuries that you observed?
Well, like I said, he had like a little gash like right up under the eye as well, but other than that, no.
Okay. Was he bleeding?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you observe any injuries to the defendant?
No.
Nothing. Not a scratch.
Well, no, actually, no.
Okay.
He had blood on his shirt, but that was it.
Did you ask him where the blood came from?
I did not.
Okay. You stated that you spoke to the defendant. Would you recognize him?
Yes.
Is he presently in the courtroom? And feel free to stand if you need to.
He's in the blue shrubs over there to the right, to my right.
To your right?
Yeah, to my right.
Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Carl Roberts.
Record will so reflect.
Okay. So were you able to speak to any other witnesses to this incident?
Well, No, the 911 caller basically stated that I guess she just called 911 because I guess she seen a male laying on the ground, but she stated that she didn't see exactly what happened.
Okay. Did you have your body camera on?
Yes.
Was it running and functioning at this time? Did you upload that to evidence?
Yes.
The other officer who was with you, I think you said Jones, is that correct?
When?
When? Okay. Was his body camera
Yes.
operated? Was it uploaded to evidence?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did the victim identify the defendant specifically as the person who had hit him?
But I can recall, I would have to, that he, I mean, not from, I can't recall.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. When you asked the defendant about the incident, he stated to you, you just testified that he stated to you that he hit someone 3 times.
Correct.
Did he identify who he had hit 3 times?
I can't recall.
Okay, fair enough. So Mr. Roberts has been charged with aggravated battery. What was the probable cause basis of the aggravated battery charge?
Because his eye was like swollen shut, like wasn't able to be used or anything of that nature at all. Like
And-
couldn't see out of it, nothing.
How do you know about how long Mr. Wall was unconscious for?
From the time that I arrived on scene, I would say probably about 20 seconds, I'd say
Unconscious.
Yeah, I would say about 20 seconds.
Okay. Have you followed up with the victim after?
After the
incident?
situation, no.
Okay. Was the victim ever, I know you said EMS arrived, did they ever take him off to Grady?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And did the defendant need to go to Grady?
No.
Did the defendant receive any medical treatment?
Yes. Anytime somebody's involved in an altercation, we still have to get him checked out at Grady. So yes, he was still taken to Grady.
Okay. Did they find any injuries on him, or is it to check vitals?
Just to check vitals, make sure he's I guess okay to
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Is there anything else you learned during this investigation that we haven't covered here today? No? Okay. Nothing further.
All right. Cross? I don't know. Oh, she does. Oh, poverty. Oh, okay. I think bring it up here.
Hey, good afternoon, Officer Parker. Good afternoon. You were dispatched by 911?
Yes.
Okay. What did they tell you?
Reports of I guess 2 males fighting at the location. They did give us 78 of the suspect from what I can recall. And by the time we got there, male was unconscious.
I don't know that, I mean, Mr. Cho may, because he's done this for a long time, but you need to tell him what a 78 is.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The description. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
No, that's
I definitely didn't know.
I'm sorry.
I barely remember that, but I didn't know if Mr. Cho did or not.
I did not, Judge. Thank you. 911 calls us both guys fighting. You okay? You okay? 911 says both guys are fighting?
Yes.
Okay. And 78. Well, can you give us the descriptions? If you can recall.
Yeah, I can't. I don't recall.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's correct that Carl Roberts called 911.
No. Carl
said-
Roberts did not call 911.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the people at the household at 1841 BD called 911.
18441
BD.
They call 911?
Correct.
If Carl Roberts called 911, is it necessarily that you would know that with 100% certainty, or is it possible that they may not have connected that call to you?
They did not connect that call to me.
Okay, fair enough.
I just responded to 1841 BD because that's who called.
Okay.
Yeah.
1841 is where the fight occurred?
Correct.
1841 is Mr. Wall's home.
Correct.
Okay. When you were driving there, did Carl Roberts flag you down?
No.
Okay.
He was already gone. He was already up the street.
You realize that Carl Roberts lives on that same street?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the address, if you know?
I don't have that address.
Okay. I'm not trying to pop quiz you. So would 1444 BD Avenue, would that sound accurate? And if you don't know, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. You're driving, where do you see Carl Roberts when you're driving to the location?
I see when I turn onto B, 1469 BD, the house is to the left. The defendant was all the way further down the street, walking away from the incident location. So that's when I got out of the patrol car.
You're in a marked patrol vehicle?
Correct.
You are in uniform?
Correct.
He did not attempt to flee.
Well, he did walk away from the incident location after striking the male 3 times. So
he saw your car, presumably?
No.
He saw you driving from behind?
No.
Okay. Let me say it like this. He wasn't charged with any kind of obstruction, right?
No.
And when you approached him, he cooperated with you?
Correct.
Okay. So he didn't offer you any violence. He didn't run away from your presence?
No.
Okay. Your interaction with him is all recorded on body camera?
Yes.
When you first approach him, do you ask about the incident?
So I asked him what happened with the situation down there, or whatever the case may be. And then we started walking back to my patrol car, and then he notified me that him had both parties had gotten into an altercation over a car, I guess some cars that needed to be fixed. But he didn't get paid for the work that Mr. John Wall didn't get paid for the work that he had did.
He's not under custody when you're talking with him, right?
No.
He's not been Mirandized at that point?
No.
Okay. Your interaction with him is not recorded on the body camera.
Right. So we didn't detain him until after we were notified of exactly what happened with the situation.
You guys walk back voluntarily to your vehicle?
Right.
Drive back to 1841 BD, is that right?
So I drove my car from 1841 BD to the suspect. Got out of the car, and then we walked back to the incident location, and then we still had a car that was still down the street as well.
Okay. When you interacted with Mr. Roberts, was there at any point indication that he stated that Mr. Wall came up from behind him?
You said Mr. I'm sorry, repeat that for me.
Sure. Did he ever state to you that Mr. Wall came up behind Mr. Carl Roberts?
No.
Did he ever say that Mr. Wall started the altercation?
No.
Did he ever state that this was in regards to another female whose car needed to be fixed and it stopped working?
He didn't say anything about another female's vehicle.
But it's all recorded on body camera?
Correct.
Okay. Let me say it like this. When the fight occurs, who is all there?
Just the 2 individuals that were fighting.
It's in a neighborhood, right?
Correct.
Did any of the neighbors witness the fight?
No, I asked, nobody said they witnessed it, but like I said, the 911 call stated that she heard the commotion. And then when she came outside, she just, I guess, seen the mill outside. And then that's when the 911 call came into play.
So no one else can say who started the fight in this case?
Correct.
Besides the two individuals that were, okay. Was there a C Lavender that was spoken to on scene that you can recall as a witness?
I do not recall.
How about a Miss Jackie?
No, I do not recall.
That's okay. And Miss Gloria?
No, I do not recall.
Okay. Was there anyone named Shay that was spoken to on scene?
I believe Shay was actually the sister of Mr. John Wall, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, fair enough. And then was there a Reginald Wallace that you can recall?
Okay, so I'm sorry. I was getting ready to say that I guess that was another male on scene, but he stated that he didn't really see exactly what occurred.
Okay, did not see. Are there any doorbell cameras or Nest cameras?
No.
That were recovered?
Yeah,
None?
no.
Okay. Was Mr. Wall armed?
No.
How were you able to verify that?
Well, when we got him up, we took him over to the patrol car and we didn't see any bulge or anything on him at all. So,
when you spoke to him about the incident, how long did y'all interact?
maybe about 5-10 minutes, maybe, and then my supervisor came and spoke with him as well.
Who's your supervisor?
Lieutenant OTT.
OTIT?
OTITI.
TI, okay. And are lieutenants required to wear body cameras?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be uploaded for this case?
Yes.
You said that if anything, Mr. Wall was knocked out for less than a minute, correct?
Correct.
Has there been any follow-up information about his condition?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And you're basing the aggravated battery on that his eye was swollen
Like
shut?
swollen shut.
To your knowledge, there's no allegation that the eye is unusable or that it's been damaged. It's just that it was swollen. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Has there been any follow-up to your knowledge of any further investigation in this case?
No.
Okay. And Judge, if I could have one moment, please.
Sure.
Okay, all right. No, you're okay. Is there dash camera on your vehicle?
Yes.
Was there dash camera when you were interacting with Carl Roberts?
No. The dash camera only activates when the blue lights are activated. So I'm not 100% sure the the dash camera was recording at that time.
You don't recall blue lights being activated for this case, basically?
I do not.
That's okay. Let me ask it this way. Last question. I appreciate you a lot, officer. If there was if there was dash camera activated in this case, it would be automatically uploaded for discovery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Anything else?
Just really quickly, you just testified about Mr. Wall's left eye, and you said it was swollen shut. Could you see his iris or pupil or any white of his eye?
No.
Did you ask him, could he see out of that eye?
No, I did not. But like I said, it was swollen shut to the point where you couldn't see any part of his eye at all.
Okay, all right, nothing further. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Cho?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, officer. Be safe. Have a good Father's Day.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
Judge, we'd ask the court to consider finding no PC in this case. Mr. Roberts adamantly denies the allegation.
Thanks for coming out.
Judge, what we have here is, it seems to be a situation of mutual combat. It is my client's right to self-defend himself. And as the court has heard, the initial call from 911 reports that 2 individuals were fighting. While this happened in a neighborhood, it does not appear as though any other witnesses were willing to cooperate in the investigation. I'll just put it that way. But long and short, Judge, my client, when approached by police officers, did not flee. The police officers' friends cooperated, walked back with him, spoke to him, and it appears to even went back to the incident location. We understand that the injury resulted in a loss of consciousness. It does appear that it was 5 to 10 seconds. I think the testimony was less than a minute. Excuse me. And Judge, I'll just say it like this: if there is mutual combat, my client gets the better of the other individual. That's our position. But there does appear to have been a legitimate dispute at some point, and that's where we're at. So we ask the court to consider finding a PC on Mr. Roberts' behalf. Nothing further.
Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask that you do find PC in this case. Both the witness testified by the defendant's own admission that he did strike the victim in this case. The witness testified that one, his eye was swollen shut and he couldn't see any part of his iris or whites of his eyes. That and he lost consciousness from a result of the defendant hitting him. That being said, probable cause has been established to charge this defendant with an aggravated battery at this time, and the state would ask that you find as such.
All right, I'll find probable cause. There's no bond right now. It's 68 days. Pre-trial.
40 cycles, appears to be on probation for 21 SC 179514. That is for aggravated assault, false statements, possession and transport of a firearm by a convicted felon or felony first offender. That is from last year, 2022, 3 years probation. Theft by taking conviction, 2015. Criminal damage to property conviction, 2013. Criminal damage to property and possession of tools during the commission of a crime conviction, 2011. Robbery and false imprisonment conviction, 2005. Possession of a controlled substance conviction, 2003. Sale of cocaine, 97. Burglary, 93. 6 FTAs, 5 probation violations.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Judge, Mr. Roberts and I have a storied history together. The address on file is the verified address. It is, he has lived there for an extensive time period. I know he has ties to the community. I would include myself in that at this point. Judge, he is in a no bond status. We would ask the court to consider a reasonable bond in this case. As you heard from Officer Roberts, there is some other matters that may be holding him based on the okay. Judge, our position in this case is that this is self-defense, that we will need to order a body camera to validate Mr. Roberts' positions on what actually occurred, and it's Mr. Roberts' position that he was grabbed from behind, which started this whole thing. So we need to work on that case further, especially once it's indicted, et cetera. But for current purposes, Judge, we ask the court to consider bond, and then not the court finds appropriate, nothing further.
All right, what says the state?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask that this remain in a no bond status. The defendant is currently on probation for an aggravated assault and subsequently has obtained a new violent charge. Also, if you look at the warrant, particularly in this case, it states that Mr. Roberts states that he is a trained fighter, a trained boxing fighter is the language exactly. He has 6 FTAs and multiple probation violations. This defendant serves as a likelihood to commit an additional felony while out on bond. This defendant also has a risk of flight and is a danger to the community at large, being that he is currently on probation for an ag assault charge and picked up another aggravated battery charge, another violent charge. State would ask that you leave this in a no bond status. However, if Your Honor is inclined to set a bond above the state's objection, the state would ask that it be no less than $45,000, ankle monitor with 24-hour curfew, a stay away from the incident location, no contact with the victim. And the exceptions are basic life necessities, medical and legal, nothing further.
What was your number?
45.
All right, 45. Yep, good.
Very quickly, I didn't say something out of fact. I apologize, Judge. I appreciate it. Mr. Roberts is a proud father, grandfather. He has ties to the community, including his son, his grandson, his granddaughter. He is father of 10, grandfather of 15. He has his own business, Roberts Demolition, he does residential demolitions, and he has also worked for Google previously as well. Mr. Roberts is married as well, so he's a family man. So I appreciate the court letting me correct the record. Thank you.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1469 Beatty Avenue Southwest. No further contact with Jason Wall. Stay away from 1341 Metropolitan Parkway. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, basic life necessities and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. That's a $45,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Ma'am, so you left, this deputy's going to bring it back to you. You left some of this blank, and this is just the affidavit. This isn't the order. You got to, it doesn't have who the respondent is, what kind of case it is. You got a lot more work to do on that. There's places you missed. There's an order. That's not the whole packet, okay?
You talking to me?
Now I'm talking to her.
Oh.
That's not the entire packet.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure what I did wrong.
The entire packet has an order and it tells what kind of case it is, who the respondent is, et cetera. So I got position 7, Aurelius Conaway. That's it. Right? Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, or prelim.
No, it's the last one. I know, Mr. Joe. Trust me. Let's see, Stella.
Mr. Cho.
Yeah. Yes, for 3K, that's it's at 30 right now, he has a probation for 11 SC, 166, so. So I showed you my notes that they were in previous work conversations. Yes, a little bit, does that make sense? He is a trustee. That's a jail, that shows. For the trustee. It was sent to me like PDF longer. So that's one that she said, this is not the motion. But it's just one.
So you're not gonna make that. If he's at 30,000, I can do 10 unload felony and 5 on a shop.
It's still not helping me out because they don't. They're not interested.
That's really bad.
Something calm down to get them to say, I'm not sure what it has.
But that's why.
Well,
Well, I mean, no, I think we actually did a great job. Because we've had a lot of officers here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Morning here. No.
Yeah, probably.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you would go. Yeah, she.
26 cycles, I'll ask the rest of the November section.
Okay, I feel like we know where this is heading on my end. Do you want me to just say it, but, send on local file. I will do though, on the. Yeah.
Let me ask.
$3,000 over the days.
Okay.
You should not.
Otherwise, oh, it's somebody else. Too. Right.
Does anybody?
There's a whole packet. There's an order. You just need to go to-
But I can.
Go upstairs.
Absolutely agree, right?
Hold it, turn it, spot. Right. You got the last guy out here,
It's not.
Artelius Conaway. Did y'all, aren't y'all work something out about that?
Contingent upon the client saying yes or no.
Oh, okay, then go ask him.
Where'd you get Subway from?
You what, did you go ask him? You go talk to, no, this is mine. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Are you gonna go talk to your client?
I'm doing the 1 o'clock too.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you said, I don't know.
Alexis,
Maybe you need to go upstairs to Law Library. They'll help you with the
Okay,
packet.
so I just printed out some copies of.
Miss Cole, I'm sorry. We're just like,
Bring them down.
last one.
But if you're.
I would have got you Subway also. Do you want to talk to him there, Mr. Cho?
Probably just gonna go through.
Dang it.
Your Honor, I am going to have to ask for 5 minutes between calendars so I can go print out my other warrant.
No, did you get your food? Cause I'm gonna like,
Tell
tell them to bring it, cause we'll
I
sit,
ordered it. I have to go pick it up.
we'll sit here. I will share my sandwich for you, Miss Cole. And Miss Patton will share hers. We have chips. Oh, did you? This is the only day I didn't bring anything to eat. I have Tic Tacs.
What flavor?
Fruit flavor.
Okay, well, as long as they're not the green.
Yeah, and we'll take a break in between there if you don't mind. I promise. I know we just have one.
They're coming because they've been blowing me up. I don't know if all of them are coming, but I definitely know some.
Some have been blowing her up saying they didn't want to come, though, right?
Yes, they said that, but they're still coming, but they did say they did not want to come. They said it was a big night at APD last night, so I'm not sure what that means.
His calendar was Monday,
Yeah.
Huh?
and I had other feelings on it, so it's gonna.
Yeah, I know. You got this whole thing, and you're handling Miss Beck's too.
I mean, I'm sure we'll see whatever big night they handled. I'm certain we'll see them Monday or Saturday. We'll figure out what happened.
I'm not perseverant either of those days, so.
Wow. See, she's gonna enjoy her holidays too.
Hey, Duck.
Try to get out of the holidays because I have 2 babies.
Oh, yeah.
One's 2 and one's 6 months old, so.
You should have. Oh, I know. There.
During the break, when I need to go see one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I found that Joe wasn't able to let me see them yesterday. So.
Oh, yeah. And some of you guys may be able to come to consent on, well, see.
Yeah, who do you want to talk about?
She's like 1 through 7, 1 through 9, 1 through
Oh,
8,
did
right?
that- I have officers for 1 and 2, just FYI, that I know like for certain. I wasn't gonna negotiate on it. It's an armed robbery. And I
It's
saw-
not her. The warrant says it's her, but the police report says it was a guy with red dress.
So you need the waiver?
I'll give you the police report on it.
I don't think that you were misrepresenting.
She was literally just searched and she said that she called his girlfriend afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
I need to get.
Is what the police report says. But she wasn't alleged to have had the.
And if there's nobody in there, I can just run right there and get it real quick.
She wasn't
Yeah.
alleged to have done anything except literally be in the room.
Just.
And
let
she's
me
not
read it.
charged with. I'm
I'm sorry?
She's not charged with party to a crime or anything. The warrant
No.
say it was her that had it. The police
I guess
report
Parker and them
says
could look.
nothing else.
Parker, are they still up next door?
So,
Okay.
I have an issue with her. She's got, it's her first time.
Oh, I thought you could just go through. In there?
It's locked.
Oh, that means they're not in there.
They're not in there.
Can I go in there? Just grab one of those waivers. It's sitting on the right-hand side of my bench. That's all he needs, is one of those forms. Yeah. Great, that means that,
Didn't print off the calendar.
Oh, do you need a? Oh, yeah, sure.
that means we could be down for a few, right? Since he's getting a waiver?
Oh, he didn't tell me one way or another.
Yeah, no, he's getting a waiver, so we could be down for a few till we can all eat. Did you call and get him to bring your food?